Hi, welcome to Montana State of Mind with me, Montana, a place where we recap vintage romance novels, but pretty soon we'll be recapping some other ones. Hey, everybody. If you kept up with my personal life, I kind of had to take a sabbatical on September, just some personal stuff. But hey, I moved back to Louisiana. I'm back. If my accent starts slipping a little bit harder than usual, my bad. But no, nothing detrimental. Just you know how it is right now in 2025. All right. Without going too personal, just know everybody's fine. Everybody's alive. Everything's fine. But still, I just needed that month off to kind of catch up because I got knocked on my ass. I think everybody has this year. It's been a hard year. 2025's been tough. But without bogging it down too much, just know I'm fine. My family's fine. Everybody's fine. If you're enjoying the new backdrop here, this is my parents' house. I'm staying with my grandma, but this is my parents' house. I wanted to film here because hopefully them chatter in the back and not everything doesn't come in too much. This is my high school room, I guess you could say. My house burnt down when I was like in the 6th grade, and this was my high school room. I hate that bed. Look at it. Ugh. What was I thinking? So nothing like coming back to your, I guess, somewhat childhood-ish teenage home in your 30s, doing a YouTube channel. But without bogging it down too much, this month, I missed y'all some. I missed doing this channel. It makes me happy. I like doing it. So I didn't want to stay way too long. I need something to do, y'all. I applied to a job yesterday. Fingers crossed. But in the meantime, this is my hobby and I like doing it. And this month, I remember last year during Halloween, we read a book a week. That was a big commitment for me. And I really wanted to do something everybody, like y'all really mentioned this book a lot. And I read it in middle school. Probably shouldn't have. And I thought we should revisit it. And that is Flowers in the Attic. For those who know, hold on. But for those who are completely unaware of Flowers in the Attic, trigger warning for everything. If you can think about it and you think it's going to happen, it probably does. It probably does. We'll get more specific trigger warnings later on in the video. Revisiting this as an adult. Wow. It's going to be this. Let me just first off say, if you have never read this book, Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews, please go read it. Stop this video, go read it, and come back because it's a core book, especially for like pop culture. I think if you are into horror novels, pop culture, vintage, like you have to read Flowers in the Attic. It is not only pivotal towards pop culture and like just references, but also it's a great book. Horrible story. What happens in this novel? Awful things happen. Terrible things happen. But it's written so well. This book is written, as you can tell, they are in an attic for the majority of this novel, and yet every page counts. There's not a wasted second in that attic. Truly, V.C. Andrews, she wrote this in 2 weeks. Bang this thing out in 2 weeks, y'all. Oh my God. It's this and like Rosemary's Baby and Carrie are some of my guilty pleasures. I'm not a big horror fan, but those I'm just like, oh, you can't deny like, and I know some of y'all are saying, Montana, did you do the movie? We'll do the movie on the Patreon, more info later. But back to this. Hey, if you're new here, I'm so sorry. I'm just jumping in and y'all are just like, where am I? Who is this? I'm Montana. We usually cover like bodice rippers here. Those 80s Fabio kind of novels. But during Halloween, we like to touch on a little vintage classic. And Flowers in the Attic, like I'm saying right now, absolute core memory for a lot of young girls and gays. What we usually do on this channel is very different than what we're going to do today. What we usually do is go over the cover because the cover is a work of art, and then we go over fictional author lore, and then we do a recap, and then at the end we kind of give my state of mind. Today, obviously, we will discuss this cover because this is an original, like there's a whole series of these, and they all kind of have the same cover. So we will discuss the cover. We will discuss V.C. Andrews, the actual person. This will not be fictional author lore. We are going to discuss her because she had a very interesting life. And then we're going to recap. This may have to be, I don't know, because I'm going to be reading a lot from this novel. Again, it's written so well. I just have to read it. And so much happens. This may have to be a 2-parter. I'll see how it shakes out in the editing room, which is, again, going to be like my childhood playroom that I shoved my computer in. Pray somebody buys my house, y'all. I can't move until somebody buys that house. Somebody wants a farm in Arkansas. Please go buy my house. We'll see how it shakes out in the editing room. I know y'all want to recap, but I really, again, urge y'all to read it. Read it. It's a quick, I know it looks long, but y'all are going to be, people read this thing in a day. I've never read someone that like could not pour through this novel. Now let's just go ahead and get into some trigger warnings and stuff. Again, everything happens. Deaths of pets, of children, of things. Sexual assault happens. Incest happens. Cruelty, abuse towards children. I mean, that's the whole fucking novel, y'all. Like, this whole book is about abuse towards children. They're locked in an attic. What did y'all come here expecting? But, and for those who have seen the Lifetime series or the movies, do know the books are a lot rougher. If you think you got through the movies and the Lifetime series, the books are a little tougher. That being said, I don't want this to be a recap full of melancholy and sadness. This is fictional, so I feel like we can be a little more jovial discussing it than like, say, a true crime podcast or recap situation where they kind of like have to maintain a serious tone. This is fictional, so I feel like we can kind of, wow, that's crazy. Over this. Let's not take it too seriously, okay? Because this isn't real. But it is based off of something else that is real. We'll get to that in a second. But this did not happen, so I feel like we can relatively gossip about it in a fun way. I know some of y'all who know Flowers in the Attic, you're just like, you're going to make it fun, Montana? How? I will, I promise. It's my job. Y'all, guess what I just realized? I just got up to go get my notes. I didn't bring my notes. I didn't bring them. They're still at my grandma's house. I'm going to have to do this off the cuff. Okay, this is going to take longer than I thought maybe. Let's get into this cover, okay? This cover is kind of an iconic, obviously. The 70s, and like I'll pop up the rest of the series if you can see them around me maybe. They always show like a minimalist, for audio listeners. It's always a minimalist design. This one is a black cover with a gray and red minimalist house. Like it looks like it's cut out of paper almost. And then in the attic, we have a drawing, but it's supposed to look like a real life photograph, but it's a pencil drawing of a very cute little blonde girl looking concerned in an attic. And now in the rest of the series, they also follow that kind of design of like this very minimalist red, green, gray color layout with a pencil drawing or, you know, whatever of one of the family members that it's pertaining to. Usually Kathy. She's our main protagonist in this novel, is Kathy Dollanganger. And again, there's, I think, I don't have my notes. I think there is 5 core novels in the Dollanganger series by V.C. Andrews. And then she had a ghostwriter write, I think, the last 2 or 3. Like Chris's Diary and the Foxworth Secrets. I think those are going to be in the ghostwriter category because her estate just continued to make money after her death. Don't we love that? Now, within the V.C. Andrews series, 1, 2, 3, I think, like I said, there's 5. There's like 3 that follow the kids. There's a prequel, and then there's another one. I don't remember. Keep in mind, again, y'all, I'm at my parents' house. My nieces and nephews and family members, my sister-in-law, everybody's kind of in and out. So if y'all hear some background noise, nothing I can do about it. Now, V.C. Andrews, this was written in what, 1970? Let's see when this was. Oh, here's the Dollanganger family right here. How many are there? Flowers in the Attic, Petals on the Wind, If There Be Thorns, Seeds of Yesterday, Garden of Shadows. Those are written by V.C. Andrews, I know. Now, Chris's Diary, Christopher's Diary, The Secret Brother, and the Beneath the Attic, those are ghostwriters. And then she's got a crap ton. Like, this whole page is filled with VC Andrews. Like, there's a subreddit for VC Andrews. Like, she's got her own Marvel universe, y'all, of kids being abused. I'm going to tell y'all real quick in the end of this, or maybe in the Patreon, she's got one, the Audrina series. It's, woo, she writes some heavy material, but yet all us middle school kids loved it. And I'm like, should we have been reading that? Why was that in our middle school library? I don't know if that, you talk about banned books. I'm not saying we should ban books, but I just don't know if that should have been shelved at Donnie Bigham Middle School. I think, like I said, this was written in like what, the late 70s. When was this published? 1979. Okay. And in this edition, this is a newer edition, we have a foreword by Gillian Flynn, Sharp Objects Lady, another V.C. Andrews style literature. So if you liked Sharp Objects and like Gone Girl and all that stuff, V.C. Andrews is your girl. She's your girl. V.C. Andrews herself, I forget her actual name. If I had my notes, I would tell you. I'll put it right here. For those who can watch me, I'll put it right here. That's her actual name. Oh my God, you can hear my dad's dog barking. This is great. This is a fucking nightmare filming right now. I just want y'all to know that. This is a nightmare. Now, V.C. Andrews she grew up in Virginia. She was one of, I think, 3. Her daddy died, and she kept the family afloat selling paintings. She was a painter. I don't know where her paintings are right now. Can you talk about, like, I'd love to have that in a gallery, like a V.C. Andrews painting. But she also had an injury that led her to kind of live in a wheelchair for a lot of her life. She could walk, but like it was really painful. And so she was wheelchair bound for a lot of it. Now, it says on the Wikipedia that she fell down a flight of stairs. Other people say she had an illness. Go with what you will. But she was confined to a wheelchair. And I think her upbringing, I don't know a lot about it. I think her upbringing definitely influenced, as it always does with authors, influenced a lot of her work. You kind of read her themes, you know, they all kind of read the same. And you're just like, girl, what happened? What was your relation like with your mama? That being said, at the end, I will tell you the real life account of where she got the inspiration for this story. I don't want to do it right now because for those who don't know Flowers in the Attic, it'll obviously spoil it. But at the end, I'll tell y'all where she got this fucked up idea. Now, again, I don't have my notes. I'm literally just going to go chapter by chapter and just tell y'all kind of what happens. I luckily had the wherewithal to highlight and mark things so I can read and quote things that were important to me at the time. Also, for those who are new, I am not a professional actress. I'm not a professional voice actress. Do not feel like I am trying to sit here and send an audition tape to somewhere, okay? We're just having fun. We're just having fun. I am telling this story like I would tell y'all if y'all were across from me, if y'all were sitting on that bed, okay? Let's pretend we're in high school. Y'all are sitting on that bed, and I'm like, y'all got to listen to this, okay? And without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive into this amazing Southern Gothic vintage, if that's your aesthetic, Flowers in the Attic novel by V.C. Andrews. Let's get into this. We open with a prologue that I will read the first paragraph of. It is so appropriate to color hope yellow, like that sun we seldom saw. And as I begin to copy from the old memorandum journals that I kept for so long, a title comes as if inspired. Open the window and stand in the sunshine. Yet, I hesitate to name our story that, for I think of us more as flowers in the attic, paper flowers, born so brightly colored and fading duller through all those long, grim, dreary, nightmarish days when we were held prisoners of hope and kept captives by greed. But we were never to color even one of our paper blossoms yellow. Kathy goes into her favorite author Charles Dickens and how he wrote and how she wants to write this story. It's written like this is her memoir. Obviously, it's fiction. For those who kept up, my New Year's resolutions was to leave Popeyes alone. It's been a rough year, y'all. I got my line made. I broke. Now, we open with the Dollenganger family. The Dollengangers, and they're called like the dolls because they're all blonde, blue-eyed, white little Aryan family. Like they're just a perfect little stereotypical Barbie family. And they live in Pennsylvania, and it's Mama and Daddy. Chris is the oldest brother, Kathy, our protagonist, and it's just those two for now. And she kind of just delves into the early years. They lived in Pennsylvania. They were middle class. They didn't want for nothing, but at the same time, if there was a luxury item we didn't have, we never knew about it and we didn't miss it. But at the same time, food was always available, clothes. If they wanted a toy, they got it. Middle class, higher middle class maybe. And this takes place also in the 50s, 60s era. And oh, how Kathy and Chris love Daddy and Mama. Oh, they're the most beautiful parents. They're wonderful. Daddy runs a PR agency. He's gone throughout the week and he comes home on the weekends and they just wait for him to come home. And he comes in and he goes, "Where's my darling family?" And oh, it's so cute. It'll make you sick. But one day, Mama's knitting and she's knitting a tiny little sweater. And Kathy's like, "Oh, she's knitting my doll a sweater. How convenient." And Mama says, "Oh, no. Come touch my belly." Mama is pregnant with twins. Wow. Kathy is so upset. Chris is excited. Kathy is not, because that means someone's going to take attention away from Daddy. I know some of y'all are kind of like we're already getting inklings of an interesting family dynamic. It gets worse. Kathy is very upset with the arrival or the announcement of these twins. So much so that she doesn't greet Daddy when he comes home on Friday. And we have this exchange. Daddy comes and sees Kathy in her bedroom and she's just throwing a fit. He sighed and came to sit on the edge of my bed. "You know something? This is the first time in your life you've ever glared at me like that. This is the first Friday you haven't run to leap up in my arms. You may not believe this, but I don't really come alive until I come home on the weekends." Pouting, I refused to be won over. He didn't need me now. He had his son and now heaps of wailing babies on the way. I'd be forgotten in the multitude. "You know something else?" he began, closely watching me. "I used to believe, perhaps foolishly, that if I came home on Fridays and didn't bring you one single gift, or for your brother, I still believed the two of you would have run for me like crazy and welcomed me home anyway. I believe you loved me and not my gifts. I mistakenly believed that I'd been a good father and somehow I'd managed to win your love, and that you'd always have a big place in my heart, even if your mother and I had a dozen children." He paused, sighed, and his blue eyes darkened. I thought my Kathy knew she would still be my very special girl, because she was my first. I threw him an angry, hurt look. Then I choked. "But if Mama has another girl, you'll say the same thing to her." "Will I?" "Yes," I sobbed, achingly, so badly I could scream from jealousy already. "You might even love her more than you do me, 'cause she'll be little and cuter." "I may love her as much, but I won't love her more." He held out his arms, and I could resist no longer. I flung myself into his arms and clung to him for dear life. He soothed as I cried. "Don't cry. Don't feel jealous. You won't be loved any less. And Kathy, real babies are much more fun than dolls. Your mother will have more than she can handle, so she's gonna depend on you to help her. When I'm away from home, I'll feel better knowing your mother has a loving daughter who will do what she can to make life easier and better for all of us." His warm lips pressed against my teary cheek. "Come on now, open your box and tell me what you think of what's inside." First, I had to smother his face with a dozen kisses and give him bear hugs to make up for the anxiety I put in his eyes. In the beautiful box was a silver music box made in England. The music played, and a ballerina dressed in pink turned slowly around before the mirror. "It's a jewelry box as well," explained Daddy, slipping on my finger a tiny gold ring with a red stone he called a garnet. "The moment I saw that box, I knew you had to have it. And with this ring, I do vow to forever love my Kathy just a little bit more than any other daughter. As long as she never says that to anyone but herself." Okay. So Daddy and Kathy, they've got a big bond. I won't sit there, it's fine. It's fine. But if you read the inner monologue of Kathy, like what she's thinking, she loves her daddy, y'all. I still do, but like not that, I don't know. She really puts him on a pedestal, and just thinks that he is just the most perfect. And mama too, don't get me wrong. She loves her mama too. She thinks her mama is the most walking goddess among us. Like, they all love each other so much. You're just kind of like, anyways, the twins come, Carrie and Corey, and everything is fine. Like, Kathy loves these twins and she helps take care of them. And I know a lot of us are kind of like, you don't want to parentify one of your kids. You do what you can. But we jump to Daddy's, what is it? His 36th birthday, 32nd, 33. He's 30 something. I want to say he's 36. If I had my notes, I would know this information. We jump to Daddy's 36th birthday. It's a close, intimate situation. Friends and family are gathered. Mama's cooking and she spent all day in the salon. She took her bubble bath. She smells beautiful. She's got a beautiful dress on. Mama is just a walking, it's very Leave It to Beaver. Like, Mama's perfect, Daddy's perfect. The kids are all perfect. Chris and Kathy are taking care of the twins, as they do, because Mama's too busy getting ready, and they're all waiting for Daddy to come home. It's Friday. It's his time to come home from work. He's going to have gifts for the kids, like, because he's so selfless. He thinks of nothing but them kids. He's going to have gifts. It's going to be beautiful. And 5 o'clock passes. Okay. Maybe there's traffic. And then 6 o'clock passes. Food's getting a little cold. You know, we didn't have cell phones back then. And then 7 o'clock comes and the sun's going down. And one of these guests in their party was like, he doesn't say this verbatim, but he essentially is like, maybe he left. By the way, y'all, the mother's name is, let me see if I can say this without an accent. Corinne, Corrine. Corinne. If I say, because my accent, I'm saying, I can't even say Corin, right? Anyways, Corin, he's like, hey, maybe he left you for another woman. Ha ha ha. Who says that? Who says that? That guy did. Anyways, we get a knock on the door. Daddy's home. But why would he knock? It's police. Daddy's been involved in an accident. And y'all, the way the police describe what happened to an entire party full of children, this man's children. We've already questioned motorists who witnessed the accident, and it wasn't your husband's fault, Mrs. Dollenganger. That voice continued on without emotion. According to accounts which we've recorded, there was a motorist driving a blue Ford weaving in and out of the left lane, apparently drunk, and he crashed head-on into your husband's car. But it seems your husband must have seen the accident coming, for he swerved to avoid a head-on collision, but a piece of machinery had fallen from another truck or car, and this kept him from completing his correct defensive driving maneuver, which would have saved his life. But as it was, your husband's much heavier car turned over several times, and he still might have survived. But an oncoming truck, unable to stop, crashed into his car, and again the Cadillac spun over, and then it caught fire. What the fuck? You can't pull me aside and go, ma'am, can we talk to you over there about something? Can we talk to you in a private room? They sat at the door at this party, again with the children, and I like to think their detective skills could kind of reason those might be his, and proceeded to tell not only did he get in a wreck, he could have survived, but then another car came and hit him, and his car crashed, and it flipped over 5 times. Like, oh my God, just tell her every traumatic thing. Like, why can't you just say he passed away in a car crash? It was a lot. I promise you. But anyways, they go on to proceed to say that the body was so burned and charred that she's going to have to come identify the objects that were found around the body. And so they do, and it's his clothes, and it's gifts for the twins, and gifts for Chris and Kathy, and it's really fucking traumatic. We're off to a great start. Obviously, Mama is in a state of depression and shock, and Kathy is having to pick up the helm. Mama, I began again, feeling my way along cautiously, lest she turn hard and angry again. Will we be able to go on without him? I will do the best I can to see that we survive, she said dully, flatly. A housewife in the 60s or 50s with no skills and 4 children, not a good time. She never went to college. She never went to secretary school. She never did anything. She has absolutely no way of necessarily getting a job that would pay enough to support 4 kids. And then we learn that everything's on credit. Their house, their cars, everything, even her engagement ring, she has to hide from the creditors because they come and repossess everything. The music box, everything but the clothes on their back. These people are absolutely, their daddy's dead and now they're penniless because everything was bought on credit. And it's kind of crazy because it goes into what was on credit. And she's like, do you see that couch over there? It was $300 and we were almost done paying it off. And you're just like, oh, I fucking wish. $300 couch. And then Mama Corin has been mailing letters back and forth, mailing letters. And one day she's very excited for once since Chris Sr. died. That's the daddy's name, sorry. Again, I don't have my notes. This is going to be kind of crazy. And she's like, guess what? I got great news. We're going to go live with my parents, the grandparents you've never seen. Okay, that's fine. They're in Virginia. It was back in the day, you couldn't really go see. Anyways, Pennsylvania, Virginia. She said, we're going to go back to my childhood home. It's a mansion. We're going to go live with my mom and dad, your grandma and grandpa. There's a hiccup with that because, see, I kind of had this is Mama talk. She's like, I kind of had a fallen from grace and your grandfather disowned me. So she says, your real name is not Dollenganger, it's Foxworth. And Kathy's like, isn't that illegal? And she's like, shut up, Kathy. And here we kind of have Mama kind of panicking. Now listen to me, she ordered, catching my brother's hand in mine and pressing them both against her breasts. I have thought of how we can manage to stay here, but there is no way at all because we have no money to meet the monthly bills. I don't have the skills to earn an adequate salary to support 4 children and myself as well. Look at me, she said, throwing wide her arms, appearing vulnerable, beautiful, and helpless. Do you know what I am? I'm a pretty useless ornament who always believed she'd have a man to take care of her. I don't know how to do anything. I can't even type. I'm not very good with arithmetic. I can embroider beautiful needlepoint and crewel work stitches, but that kind of thing doesn't earn any money. You can't live without money. It's not love that makes the world go round, it's money. And my father has more money than he knows what to do with. He has only one living heir, me. Once he cared more for me than he did either of his sons. So it shouldn't be difficult to win back his affection. Then he will have his attorney draw me into the new will and I'll inherit everything. He's 66 years old and he's dying of heart disease. From what my mother wrote on a separate sheet of paper, which my father didn't read, your grandfather cannot possibly live more than 2 or 3 months longer at most. That will give us plenty of time to charm him into loving me like he used to. And when he dies, his entire fortune will be mine, ours. We will be free forever of all financial worries, free to go anywhere we want, free to do anything we want, free to travel, to buy our heart's desire, anything our heart's desire. I'm not speaking of only 1 million or 2, but many, many millions, maybe even billions. People with that kind of money don't even know their own net value, for it's invested here and there, and they own that, including banks, airlines, hotels, department stores, shipping lines. Oh, you just don't realize the kind of empire your grandfather controls, even now while he's on his last legs. He's a genius for making money. Everything he touches turns to gold. Her blue eyes gleamed. The sun shone through the front windows, casting diamond strands of light on her hair. Already she seemed rich beyond value. Mama, how had all of this come about only after our father died? Christopher Caffey, are you listening? Use your imaginations. Do you realize what a tremendous amount of money can do? The world and everything in it is yours. You have power, influence, respect. Trust me. Soon enough, I will win back my father's heart. He'll take one look at me and realize instantly how all those 15 years we've been separated have been such a waste. He's old, sick. He always stays on the first floor in a small room beyond the library. He has nurses to take care of him night and day and servants to wait on him hand and foot. But only your flesh and blood means anything, and I'm all he has left. Only me. Even the nurses don't find it necessary to climb the stairs, for they have their own bath. One night, I will prepare him to meet his 4 grandchildren, and then I will bring you downstairs and into his room, and he will be charmed, enchanted by what he sees. 4 beautiful children who are perfect in every way. He's bound to love you, each and every one of you. Believe me, it will work out just the way I say. I promise that whatever my father requires of me, I will do. All my life, all I hold sacred and dear, and that is the children my love for your father made. You can believe I will soon be the heiress to a fortune beyond belief, and through me, every dream you've ever had will come true. During all this conversation between Chris, who, by the way, I believe Chris is 14, Kathy is 12, and the twins are like 3 or 4. And as she is telling Chris and Kathy about the grandparents, she's like, so y'all are going to have to like hide for like a day just because it's a lot to show up with 4 kids. It'll really piss my dad, your grandfather off. So we're just going to put you in like the guest room for like a day. And that way we can just kind of like warm them up to it. And the kids are like, what? And Kathy, obviously, because she's 12, is crying. And Mama says, Kathy, Mama was at the door, don't just stand there and cry. A room is just a room. You'll live in many rooms before you die. So hurry up and pack your things and the twins' things while I do my own packing. Before I died, I was going to live in 1,000 rooms or more, a little voice whispered in my ear. And I believed. Now, I like this because, one, she's saying pack your things, pack the twins' things while I do my own packing. Again, Kathy, she's already like put so much parenting on Kathy for the twins. Kathy, throughout this whole first like 2 chapters, is so responsible for the twins. And then we have the line, before I died, I was going to live in 1,000 rooms or more. And I believed. It's flowers in the attic for a reason, not flowers in the bunch of rooms. Now, their road to riches, and it's literally called that, the road to riches, what they do. Okay. Mama gets their suitcases. She puts, I think she puts her stuff in like back in the day, you could put them in lockers and have them like sent to you. I guess, I don't know. But she makes a good point. Corin makes a good point of she can't show up, hide the kids, and then still have like 6 suitcases. So she's like, we got to hide some of these suitcases. And they ride a train all the way to Virginia from Pennsylvania. But then when they get there, it's the middle of the night. And Corin says we have to walk to the mansion. But she tells the train conductor, because he's not going to let this like little blonde girl with her 4 kids, they're all children, like itty bitty children. He's like, I can't let you off without someone here to pick you up. This is very dangerous. And she's like, we're having a taxi come get us up. Like, the taxi will be here any minute. And he's like, well, do you need me to wait with you? She's like, no. She's really mean to the train conductor. He's just trying to help her. Obviously, there's no taxi because she's like, we have to walk there. Because if we take the taxi, then Dad's going to see, and he's going to see y'all. Like, they literally have to sneak into this mansion. It's insane. They walk through the woods of Virginia in the middle of the night. 4 miles from a train station to this mansion. It is a trek with 2 like 3-year-olds and suitcases. And of course, Chris and Kathy are carrying the twins, y'all. Yeah, it's so much. Like, these kids are miserable. And I'm sure the mom is too. It's not like she's really marching through there happily. It's a trek. And as they get to the mansion, a maid opens the door as if waiting on them. And here we meet Grandma. This is Kathy. As I helped Corey with his clothes and into yellow pajamas, I studied that tall, big woman who was, I presume, our grandmother. As I looked her over, seeing wrinkles and heavy jowls, I found that she was not as old as I had first presumed. Her hair was a strong steel blue color, drawn back from her face in a severe style which made her eyes appear somewhat long and cat-like. Why, you could even see how each strand of hair pulled her skin in little resentful heels. And even as I watched, I saw one hair spring free from its moorings. Her nose was an eagle's beak, her shoulders were wide, and her mouth was like a thin, crooked knife slash. Her dress of gray taffeta had a diamond brooch at the high, severe neckline. Nothing about her appeared soft or yielding. Even her bosom looked like twin hills of concrete. There would be no funning with her as we had played with our mother and father. Iconic. You gotta love Grandma Foxworth. And we learn that they're gonna stay in this little guest room. Itty bitty. I think it's like the size of this room. You know, it's got like 2 twin beds and a little bathroom. Just imagine like a hotel room. And they're going to be locked up in there until mama can woo her dad and tell her. So by the way, okay, because we learned from the grandma, because the grandma kind of gives an inkling of like, your mama was not supposed to marry your daddy. That was her fall from grace, was their union. And you are products of that union. And my husband will not know that you exist. And mama's like, I'll warm him up to the idea. And they're all kind of like, why didn't y'all like daddy? Because mama and daddy were half uncle and niece. And we'll get into like that family tree in a minute of how that happened. But they were a sinful little couple in the grandmama and daddy's eyes. They are very religious, and the children are products of said sin. They are walking demons among us, even tiny little Corey and Carrie. And so they must be put away so that mama can win over her daddy, their grandfather, and warm them up to the idea. And then she'll pull them out like the Sound of Music, the little family of little blonde Aryan children, and everything will be fine. Everything's fine. Just stay in this little guest room and make a game of it. Why don't y'all play house? It'll be fine. Until we get to grandma's rules. I said that grandma was very religious. She does feed the children. The grandma brings a picnic basket every morning, drops it off on the table, says this is your food for the whole day. And so although it is filled with food, fried chicken, green beans, milk, whatever the fuck, raisins, I don't know. Everything is cold by the time it's dinner time, or everything that was supposed to be cold is warm. Because when you first read the picnic basket, you're like, oh my God, that's such a spread for the day. I would love that. But then you don't have a microwave or a fridge, so you're just like, gross. Everything is nasty. Like the greens are greasy and warm. The meat's cold. She gives Chris and Kathy, I think, 21 rules. Now, I'll try to make this a chapter in case you don't want to hear all 21 rules. But why are you here if you don't want to hear all 21 rules of grandma's house? Okay. Rule number 1, you will always be fully dressed. Rule number 2, you will never take the Lord's name in vain and will always say grace before each meal. And if I'm not in the room to see that you do this, you make sure that He above will be listening and watching. 3, you are never to open the draperies, not even to peek out. 4, you will never speak to me unless I speak to you first. 5, you will keep this room neat and orderly. Always have the beds made. 6, you are never to be idle. You will devote 5 hours each day to studying and use the remainder of your time to develop your abilities in some meaningful way. If you have any skills, abilities, or talents, you will seek to improve upon them. And if you have no abilities, skills, or talents, you will read the Bible. And if you cannot read, then you will sit and stare at the Bible and try to absorb through the purity of your thoughts the meaning of the Lord and His ways. 7, you will clean your teeth after breakfast each day and before retiring each night. 8, if I ever catch boys and girls using the bathroom at the same time, I will quite relentlessly and without mercy peel the skins from your back. 9, you will, all 4, be modest, discreet, and at all times in deportment, in speech, and in thought. 10, you will not handle or play with the private parts of your bodies, nor will you look at them in the mirrors, nor will you think about them, even when you are cleansing those parts of your bodies. 11, you will not allow wicked, sinful, or lusting thoughts to dwell in your mind. You will keep your thoughts clean, pure, and away from wicked subjects that will corrupt you morally. 12, you will refrain from looking at members of the opposite sex unless it is absolutely necessary. 13, those of you who can read, and I hope at least 2 of you can, will each alternately take turns reading aloud from the Bible at least 1 page a day so the 2 younger children will benefit from the Lord's teachings. 14, you will each bathe daily and clean the ring from the tub and keep the bathroom as spotless as when you found it. 15, You will each learn, including the twins, at least one quote from the Bible per day. And if I so request, you will repeat to me such quotes as I demand, and I keep track of what passages you read. 16. You will eat all the food I bring you and not waste one single bit or throw it away or hide it away. It is sinful to waste good food when so many in this world are starving. 17. You will not stride about in the bedroom wearing only your nightclothes, even if you are going from the bed to bath or bath to bed. You will at all times wear a robe of some kind over your nightclothes and over your undergarments if at some time you feel the need to suddenly leave the bathroom without fully dressing yourself, so that another child may enter an emergency. I demand that everyone who lives under this roof be modest and discreet in all things and in all ways. 18. You will stand at attention when I enter your room. With your arms straight down your sides, you will not clench your hands into fists to show your silent defiance, nor will you allow your eyes to meet mine, nor will you seek to show signs of affection toward me, nor hope to gain any friendship, my pity, my love, or my compassion. All of that is impossible. Neither your grandfather nor myself can allow ourselves to feel anything for what is not wholesome. 19. When I come into this room to bring food and milk, you will not look at me, speak to me, think of me with disrespect, or of your grandfather with disrespect, for God is above and is able to read your minds. My husband is a very determined man and seldom has anyone bested him in any way. He has an army of doctors, nurses, technicians to tend to his every need and machines to function for his organs in case they fail. So don't think something as weakly motivated as his heart can fail a man made of steel. 20. You will not jump, yell, shout, or speak in loud voices so the servants below can hear you, and you will wear sneakers and never hard-soled shoes. Almost done, y'all. 21. You will not waste toilet tissue or the soap, and you will clean up the mess if you clog up the toilet bowl so it overflows. And if you put it out of order, then it will stay that way until the day you leave, and you will use chamber pots that you will find in the attic, and your mother can empty them out for you. 22. The boys will wash their own clothes in the bathtub, as will the girls. Your mother will take care of the bed linens and the towels you used. The quilted mattress covers will be changed once a week, and if a child soils the covers, then I will order your mother to bring you rubber sheets to use and thrash severely the child who cannot be toilet trained. In conclusion, this is not a do or don't, just a warning. You may rightly assume that I will add to this list from time to time as I see the need arise, for I am a very observant woman who misses nothing. Do not think you can deceive me, mock me, or play jokes at my expense, for if you do, your punishment will be so severe that your skins and your egos will bear lifetime scars, and your pride will go down in permanent defeat. And let it be known from now on that never in my presence will you mention your father's name or refer to him in the slightest way, and I myself will refrain from looking at the child who resembles him most. Wow. That's a lot. What's y'all's favorite rule? That's a lot to put on a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and 2 toddlers, especially when they have not been raised in a Christian environment that's staunch. You know, they're probably just like, I'm just, for the audio listeners, I'm just holding the book and just going, let's hurry up and get through that. So they have a lot of rules. I think that it's interesting. She's very staunch against like the boys and the girls interacting with each other when they're literally 2 boys, 2 girls, and their brothers, sisters. And they're in one room. Where are they supposed to go? I know where they're supposed to go. The attic. There is a small, narrow passageway in the closet of this little like guest room. And it goes to a huge, and I'm talking Smithsonian full of shit attic. Like they literally, like if the Smithsonian had an attic, it would be this attic. They're not locked in like say one of our, like what we grew up with, like a little attic that you could put Christmas decorations in. It's got everything. Like this mansion, it's an attic to a mansion. What do you think they got in there? How big, it's huge. They have bathtubs made of iron. They have giant statues. They have so many trunks full of clothes. They found like a Confederate soldier's uniform and a Union soldier. And they were just like, what? It's also very hot. There's no obviously AC or heating. And we will see throughout the seasons that summer and winter are not a good time in that attic. It's dusty. It's nasty. I know like a lot of us are just like, oh, well, they'll have room to like play and stuff, but it's a disgusting attic and it's kind of dangerous. We'll get into the dangers of it, but there's like rats everywhere, asbestos probably. There's probably lead everywhere. Like not only the chemicals and stuff, but just it's got swords and shit. Like you're putting 4 children in an old ass like museum attic. What could go wrong? There's 4 big windows, but they are blocked by I think a roof or something, so they only get sunlight for like 3 hours a day in the morning. There's beams that of course Chris goes and runs on the beams and he nearly falls off. Chris, like the twins obviously hate it. The twins are like, I want to go home. I want to go see mama. I want to go see daddy. Like these 3 to 4 year olds just do not understand. And so Chris and Kathy are very stressed out trying to make something of this for the twins. Cause the mama was like, make it a game. You know, y'all play mommy and daddy and make house and stuff and color. I don't fucking know. So Chris makes them a swing. Very nice. He finds like rope and some plyboard and he makes them a swing in the attic. And that's kind of like the first fun thing. But they want a garden. The kids miss outside. When do we get to go outside? It's been, I think, like a day or 2 at this house. And Chris and Kathy still think that any day now, mama's going to come get us. Any day now. Right? I love the small detail that Kathy is terrified of a fire. Because she's like, how do we get out? Because the grandmama, I forgot to mention, the grandma locks them in that room. There's no windows. You know, and this is a mansion. And okay, when I'm talking about a mansion, I'm talking not like Paris Hilton, like, you know, like an LA mansion. I'm talking like Mr. Darcy. I'm talking like Downton Abbey. They can't necessarily take a bunch of toddlers on the roof to escape. They find games, they find books. They're trying to make the most of it. Mama's been gone for a day or 2, and she comes back and she's a little tight-lipped. You can tell she's been crying. But she's checking on the kids and everybody's like, oh my God, mama, what happened? What's wrong? And grandmama comes in behind mama. And I say mama, you know, Corin is checking on the twins. She's like, how are y'all doing? I miss y'all. It's going to be okay. Like, are y'all making it fun? Are you making it fun for the twins, Kathy? And the twins obviously are like, we hate it here. Ew. Gross. I hate the food. The food's nasty. Y'all, if y'all have ever had little children and you know the picky eaters, try imagining being a 12-year-old trying to get your twin brother and sister to eat out of a picnic basket of just old ass chicken and green beans. They won't eat. Oh, Carrie is very free-spirited. That's the youngest twin. And she is very rebellious. And, you know, it's always one twin that's like fucking nuts. And the other one's like got all the introvertism, and that's Corey. But Carrie's the grandma, she's screaming at the grandma. I don't like it here. I want to go. She's throwing a temper tantrum. Y'all, the grandmama grabs Carrie by the hair, 4-year-old, picks her up by her scalp and says, Corin, if you do not teach your children to mind and hush, then I will. And Carrie is screaming. And Corey, the other twin, goes and bites grandma on the calf. She drops Carrie, slaps the dog shit out of Corey. Sorry, forgot to say trigger. Okay, but there's a lot of abuse on these kids, okay? If y'all just can't handle it, I'm going to come to the next book. But, you know, she picks Carrie up by the hair, drops her on the floor. Carrie whimpers and skimpers off like a beat dog. Corey, she slaps him because he bit her on the leg. He goes across the fucking room. Chris and Kathy are stunned. They don't know what to do. I know a lot of us are like, because I was telling people about this book and they're just like, why don't they beat up the grandma? And it's like, these are 14 and 12-year-old. The grandmama is like 6'2", 200 pounds. You heard her, bosoms of concrete. Okay. And they're in a situation they don't know how to handle it. You know, their mama's telling them to behave and mind. We're going to have more money. You just got to behave. And they're trying to be good and listen to mama. But then like Corey and Carrie just got knocked across the damn room. We have this. The old woman's face grew very dim. Corin, are you heedless enough to disobey? When I tell you to do something, you will do it without question and immediately. Look at what you've raised, weak, spoiled, unruly children, all four. They think they can scream and get what they want. Screams will not avail them here. They might as well know there's no mercy for those who disobey and break my rules. You should know that, Corin. Did I ever show you mercy, even before you betrayed us? Did I ever let your pretty face and beguiling ways stay my ready hand? Oh, I remember when your father loved you well. He would turn against me in defense of you. But those days are over. You proved to him you are just what I always said you were. A deceitful, lying bit of trash. She turned those hard Flintstone eyes on Chris and me. Yes, you and your half-uncle did make exceedingly beautiful children. I'll readily admit that, though they should never have been born, but they also appear soft and useless little nothings. Her mean eyes raked over our mother scornfully, as if we had all caught those demeaning faults from her. But she had not finished. Corin, definitely your children need an object lesson. When they observe what has happened to their mother, then they will have no doubts as to what can happen to them. I love this part. This is my favorite part in the movie, but this is also a good part in the book. Sorry, the sun's like right on my face. Corin, mama, is like, I'll take them tonight. I'm going to take my kids. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave this place. And the grandmama is like, take them, Corin. Why would I care? It's great in the movie. It's like the best line in the movie. But yeah, Corin's trying to sit there and bluff and be like, I'll leave tonight, mama. I will not take this. You will not pick my daughter up from her hair. And grandmama's like, good. Leave. Don't come back. Saves me the trouble. Take them tonight. Take them now. Take yourself away, Corin. If I never see your children again or hear from you again, do you think I care? It's great. And Kathy's like, great. Let's go. Let's leave. I don't want to be here. No one wants to be here. Let's go. But she sees the look of defeat in her mama's eyes. And she's like, shit, we ain't leaving. Grandmama says, Corin, take off your blouse. Mama takes off her blouse. Corin was whipped with a bullwhip by her mama in front of her daddy. I think 17 lashes on her back for the 17 years she lived in. 15 lashes for the 15 years in sin. And then I think 3 more. I don't know. She was whipped a shit ton with a bullwhip on her back for the years of sin she lived with her half-uncle. And so the kids are looking at their mother that they love their mama, goddess mama, whipped. I'm so sorry, but whipped like goddamn Kunta Kinte from Roots on her back. Excuse me? And and the rule, like, these kids are getting overloaded with abuse in like 48 hours. Unfeeling, uncaring, disregarding our sensitivities or those of our mother, new instructions issued from the grandmother. Take a good long look, children. Know that those whip marks go all the way down to your mother's feet. 33 lashes, 1 for each year of her life, and 15 extra lashes for each year she lived in sin with your father. Your grandfather ordered this punishment, and I was the one who applied the whip. Your mother's crimes are against God and the moral principles society lives by. Hers was an unholy marriage, a sacrilege. A marriage that was an abomination in the eyes of the Lord. And if that wasn't enough, they had to have children. 4 of them. Children spawned from the devil, even evil from the moment of conception. I don't know why I got a little reverendy with that last bit. But yeah, I don't know why they had to have 4. That's a lot of kids immediately. But it was like the 60s. That was kind of what you did. So the kids clean up mama's back. That's what every 14 and 12-year-old should do. The twins are fucking traumatized in the corner. We're having a great stay at grandma's. And like the whole time I'm reading this book, I'm literally at my grandma's house, bored out of my mind. I'm not held captive by any means. I'm being held captive because no one will buy my house and I can't go buy a house until they... Anyways, but that one light is like on my face. I don't know what to do about it. What if I just lean over here? I don't know. But it was very fitting for me to be reading Flowers in the Attic. Not necessarily feeling like a flower in the attic, but definitely felt a little restricted. You know, glad my grandma doesn't have a picture of people burning in hell. Like in that little guest room, there's a huge picture on the wall and it's like people being tortured in hell. Where do you even find that painting? Like a Catholic garage sale? Here we have Mama's story. As they're cleaning her up, Mama tells her side of the story. Let's hear Mama's side of the story. How'd you get in this situation where you fell in love with your half uncle? And Mama's side of the story is she had two brothers, Mal, who's Malcolm Jr. Her daddy's name is Malcolm. It's Malcolm, Olivia, Grandma, Grandpa. And they had Malcolm Jr., they had Joel, and they had Corin. And at the end of this, or maybe on the Patreon, I think on the Patreon, let me do a Patreon plug real quick. Skip ahead if you don't give a shit. I have a Patreon, y'all. On a regular scheduled basis, we do steamy scenes, we do a movie, and we do Sunday stories. And we will be doing that in November. We're getting back to our regularly scheduled programming in November. But for right now, October's Patreon content is going to be the movie, the 1987 Flowers in the Attic. And then I'm also going to do just like a little, I'm going to tell y'all about the rest of the series. What happens to the Dollenganger kids? What happens to the rest of the family? How we got here? We get Grandmama's backstory. I'm going to kind of give y'all like a real, not a recap, but just like a real brief, if you will, Wikipedia like overview. And then some of, like I said, the Audrina series that VC Andrews did. We're just going to have like a VC Andrews talk because it's absolutely fascinating, the world that she has built of abuse. Southern Gothic Queen. Again, it is Malcolm, and then you had Malcolm, Joel, Corin. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. Malcolm Sr., his daddy, Corin's grandfather, got with a younger girl named Alicia, and that's going to be Chris Sr.'s mama. So Malcolm Sr., Corin's daddy, and her husband were half brothers. What's that TikTok sound by EJ Speaks? And they were sisters. Like, that's what it feels like. I need a whiteboard. I know my mama's got one. Anyways, we'll do it on the Patreon. But if you were following my Instagram, which is down below, you would have saw I did all this family tree on the back of a donut box. You're welcome. Malcolm died in a car. He died in a motorcycle accident. Malcolm died in a motorcycle accident. And then Joel went to Sweden or Switzerland and died skiing, as one does. And so Corin, little baby Corin, was all that was left. She was daddy's little precious prize. Now daddy, Malcolm Sr., the grandfather, he has more money. He's got like, I call it like Russian czar money. Like it's Anastasia money. It reminds me of that. Like when they talk about the balls they have and the dances and the opulence, I'm like, okay, so it's like Anastasia. Like we're having an Anastasia. I don't know why it takes me to that, but it's just, it's oppressive levels of like wealth. And it never exclusively says how he got money because he has his hands in everything. We all know there's no ethical billionaire. So pick something. He's got a shit ton of money and he likes buying things so no one else can have them. He likes to possess art that is priceless solely so he can say, I have that, you don't. Like Corin says that. She's like, my daddy just likes owning stuff just so no one else can have it. And that's why that attic is filled with fucking everything. He even wants just me. He was going to pay Corin, like give her the whole entire shaboodle if she never married. He was like, never leave me, never marry, never have children, just be my little Corin. And you'll have everything taken care of. But Alicia, remember old girl, Chris Sr.'s mama, Alicia, obviously her husband died. Malcolm's dad died because he was like old as fuck. And then she died of breast cancer. And so it was little Chris. And Chris he was young. And so Olivia, the grandmother, and Malcolm Sr. took him in. Corin's parents took Chris in, his half-brother in, and he was very young. And Corin says when she came down the stairs, when he arrived, it was love at first sight. And when he found out that they were related, he was very upset. He was very angry. He was like, she's my fucking half niece. Ew. But because they lived together, kind of like close proximity, romance, kids talk, and they fell in love. And the grandparents, like, and it's hard to name like the people in this family because there's a lot of incest. And so you're kind of like, okay. So Grandma and Malcolm Sr., Olivia and Malcolm Sr., loved, they enjoyed Chris. They sent him to Harvard or Yale. They were going to make him like an heir to the fortune, rightfully so. He is an heir to the fortune technically, but his brother fucked him over on it. But they treated him because their past sons died, so they treated him like another son. And then he goes and gets with their daughter. And a lot of fans kind of ask, like, they had more money than God. You couldn't find anybody else to fall in love with. You had to fall in love with the girl that lives in your mansion. Like, you didn't find anybody else at Yale. Anybody else. You had to go wait for the 16-year-old at home to grow up. Christopher. Now, Corin, we all know, look, I'm not trying to, say girls are like this, but Corin's a young romantic girl. She grew up in this mansion. She had no idea of the real world. Of course, she's going to romanticize this rebellious relationship with Chris. She's like 15. She's going to make it fun. We've all been there. Not with our half uncles, but we've all had the boyfriend or the girlfriend that our family didn't like, and all of a sudden it's fun. I've been there. Chris and Corin do have like a relationship. Like, it's not just like stupid. Like, they talk and stuff. And so, but as Corin is talking about her family, she says this: "This is a strange house, and the people who reside here are even stranger. Not the servants, but my parents. I should have warned you that your grandparents are fanatically religious. To believe in God is a good thing, a right thing. But when you reinforce your belief with the words you take from the Old Testament that you seek out and interpret it in the ways that suit your needs best, that is hypocrisy, and that is exactly what my parents do." We're going to learn a lot about Corin, but I will say here in these early pages, she's got a point. Like, that's a great way to handle modern day Christianity, or even back then, of to believe in God if you want to is a good thing, a right thing, sure. But when you reinforce your belief with the words you take from the Old Testament that you seek out and interpret in the ways that suit your needs best, that is hypocrisy. Flowers in the attic. Line 22, like, make that a testament. Okay. And then she's talking about why her family's so crazy religious. Her daddy, he paid to have the church built. He bought all the stained glass windows. He controls the minister and his sermons, for he is paving his way to heaven with gold. And if St. Peter can be bribed, my father will surely gain entrance. In that church, he is treated like a god himself, or a living saint. And then he comes home feeling completely justified in doing anything he wants because he's done his duty and paid his way, and therefore he is safe from hell. Don't we know so many religious people like that? They think if they can pay their tithings, if they can pay their indulgences, and they can pay their way to heaven, and then they can excuse their asinine behavior. I will say this book is amazing. We'll get at the end of it. This book is amazing for like a religious discussion because Kathy questions God a lot in this book. She questions her faith. She questions, and then we kind of get into the worship of idols. We get into the worship of family members. We get into the worship of money. Like I said, at the end, we're going to have a great book club discussion. She promises that it may take a little longer. It may take a week to get Daddy to like her. It may take a week, and that's okay. Chris says, "We got it, Mama. We're going to make it fun for the kids. We're going to go have fun in that attic with all the crap in there. It's going to be fine. We're going to treat it like summer camp. Summer camp at Grandma's house. Ooh, with all the rules. Don't look at each other." And we're going to do this because Chris keeps telling Kathy, like, we got to do this for Mama. Mama needs us to do this. Like, we got to behave. We're going to be fucking billionaires. It will be worth it because Kathy's a little ballerina, and he's like, when you're in New York dancing and all that stuff with doing Swan Lake, it'll be worth the week in the attic, Kathy. Really? Everybody is gaslighting Kathy into like, this isn't a big deal. Kathy is 12, and she's just like, I don't want to be in the attic. Can you not do anything else to get this money? Can you not put us in a hotel? Can you not put us like, I would rather struggle and still be with you, mama, than live in this attic with this woman that grabbed my sister by her hair. And mama and Chris are just like, but Kathy, the money. Girl, the money. I love this. The grandmama comes in the next day. She's doing her rounds. And she's like, did you read the Bible, the page every day? And Chris says, no, we don't read a page. We read chapters. If you consider reading the Bible a form of punishment, then forget it. We find it a fascinating read. It's bloodier and lustier than any movie we ever saw and talks more about sin than any book we've ever read. Talk about all them book bannings, and y'all keep trying to put the Bible in the fucking elementary schools as if people need to be reading that thing. And I love it because you know how grandmama needs those quotes. She's like, tell me a Bible quote. And so they just start rattling off Bible quotes that essentially paint her for what she really is, a bitch. But they say, Job 28:12, but where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Job 28:28, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and depart from evil is understanding. They have a lot of Job quotes. That's a good book club discussion of like, how does Job and Kathy's story pertain to like their faith? That's a good one. We'll discuss that on the Patreon. Mama gets a car to drive. Daddy's starting to like her again. And Kathy's like, great, can we come out now? And she's like, no, not yet. They find records in the attic. They're trying to make the attic fun because Corey wants a garden. And so Kathy's like, we'll make a garden in the attic, I guess. But we have this. Kathy says, because mama keeps coming in and promising like, we're so close to so much money, y'all. Like just like 2 more days, 2 more days, 2 more days. Like she keeps kicking the goalpost, like moving the goalpost of like this imprisonment essentially. Yes, mama said eagerly, just a short while more to sacrifice, a little more patience, and all that sweet and good in life will be yours. What was there left for me to say? How could I protest? Already we'd sacrificed over 3 weeks. What was a few more days or weeks or even a month? At the end of the rainbow waited the pot of gold, but rainbows were made of faint and fragile gossamer, and gold weighed a ton. And since the world began, gold was the reason to do most anything. Like, make these quotes known in pop culture. Oh, V.C. Andrews. Preach, girl. They clean the attic because they're there for like weeks. And so they're like, let's clean the attic and make a play space out of it. And they cut flowers and they make swings and they just get really into arts and crafts up there. Arts and crafts it up. Now that the attic was clean, Mama brought us green plants plus a spiky amaryllis that was supposed to bloom at Christmas time. I frowned when she said this, for we wouldn't be here then. We'll take it with us, said Mama, reaching out to stroke my cheek. We'll take all of our plants when we go, so don't frown and look unhappy. We wouldn't want to leave anything living and loving of sunshine in this attic. Mama's visiting and she's coming in with new clothes. She's coming in with jewelry. She's looking real good. She's getting a suntan. Kathy's kind of like, what you been doing? Are you wooing or are you having fun? And her mama comes up with this bullshit of, well, I have to go sailing, Kathy. If I don't, people are going to wonder why I'm cooped up in the house all the time. Like, I have to have a normal life so that people don't suspect something's going on in the attic. Girl, your kids are in that attic. Get off the sailboat. Oh my God. Mama says she's going to go to typing school because Kathy's kind of like on her ass. Like, Kathy is constantly, grilling her about when do we get to leave this attic? And her mom and Chris are just like, oh my God, Kathy, fuck. Like, stop. Just live in the attic, fuck. And so Mama agrees to go to typing school. She's like, I'm going to make something of myself. I'm going to go to typing school. I'm going to get a job and we're going to get an apartment. That's the new plan because Daddy does not need to know y'all exist ever. So that changed. You will never be introduced to him, but he's going to die like any minute. He's going to die like any day. He's 66, y'all. Might as well be dead. Like the idea that was old back then. But he's 66. pretty much 1 foot in the casket. So I'm going to go to school. I'm going to type. I'm going to be such a good typer, and I'm going to get a job. And that's what we're going to do. And Kathy's like, great. And so every time Mama comes and visits, Kathy's like, how's class? And Mama's just like, oh my God, Kathy, fuck off. She says this, Mama, are you still going to school? Are you getting any better at typing? Yes, of course I am. She smiled again and settled back in her chair, holding up her hand and seemed to admire the bracelet she wore. I started to ask why she needed so much jewelry to attend secretary school, but she spoke again. What you need to make now is animals for your garden. That interaction I highlighted because Mama's starting to shift. Her priorities obviously are starting to shift because she's bringing plants that bloom at Christmas time. She's bringing craft supplies so the kids can make animals for the garden. She's wearing fancy jewelry for someone who's going to secretary school. Like, she's coming in with a tan. And Kathy, let's just say it like this. Chris worships their mother like a god. Throughout this novel, Corin becomes Chris's god, in my opinion. He worships her. He has faith in her. Like, that's why this is such a good religious context kind of story, is the faith not only that the children in the family like have about God themselves, and then also the family, like Kathy makes a martyr out of her father throughout the novel and holds him to this perfect standard because he died peak of perfection. But throughout the novel, you kind of learn like, okay, well, he bought everything on credit. And he didn't really set up your mom to take care of anything happen, which I know he was young and stupid. And also he fucking got with his half niece. He went to Harvard. He went away to college. He did not have to do that. And then you got Mama, and Chris just really fights with Kathy throughout the novel of his faith in Mama. Do not question Mama. Do not question. Do not doubt. Just have unbridled faith in Mama. And Kathy is a doubter. She represents a lot of people in their religion where you have family members that are like, don't question it, just have faith. And Kathy's like, but our situation sucks. You have to like, we're in an attic. We live in an attic. We have to question. And then we have Mama who, let's be honest, worships money. She has her kids in the attic, y'all. Like, we don't have to get too far in the story to be like, wow, she's a bad mom. Wow, she's a bad mom. I understand her situation at first where it's just like, it was the 60s. What could you have done as a mom with no experience with 4 kids? Like, you would have to go home. Hello, I went back home. You got to go back home sometimes. But at the same time, here we go. Here's my flowers in the attic. This is why I'm at my grandmama's house. It's because my dad don't like cats. He has this big ass house. Doesn't want moon pie in it. Don't want Tulip in it. I have 2 cats, Tulip, Moon Pie. And so I said, then I won't be here then. Because my cats are part of my family. Because my dogs are outside, my cats. And so my grandmama's a cat person. So I went to her house because I said, you like cats? And she didn't mind at all. She was like, yeah, she loves them. She calls them her babies now. I'm afraid I'm never going to get them back. But like, my dad didn't even want the cats here, much less like children. So I was like, no. And here Corin is just shoving her kids in the attic. Like, just stay there for a date. It's fine. To kind of, again, I wish I had my notes. I could be doing such a better job with my notes. I'm so sorry. But to kind of get a feel of the personalities is Chris wants to go to medical school. He's a 14-year-old. And he wants to go to medical school and be a doctor. Because duh, Montana, that's why you go to medical school. But he's very studious. He's very logical. He has undying faith in his mother. That's kind of Chris's thing. He thinks Kathy is a silly little dreamer. Kathy is a ballerina. She's a 12-year-old girl. She questions her mama. Like, I feel like this dynamic kind of goes with like a lot of sons worship mothers. Very Freudian. Like, this is a good Freudian book. And a lot of daughters worship their daddies because it's like your first expose to like the opposite sex and like a role model into what you look for in a spouse. Like, again, the psychology, this is a good book for any discussion, but that kind of happens here. And so Kathy questions her mama, doesn't question her daddy, but he's dead. And then Corey and Carrie is like, again, the bratty twin. She's really loud. She fights, she bites Kathy all the time. Corey is very quiet. He becomes very musical. Like mama brings up musical instruments and he learns the banjo, which is like the hardest thing to learn. He learns the banjo just sitting there plucking all day. He learns the guitar. He learns the piano. He loves records. He's very musically inclined, but he does not talk a lot. And again, Carrie does all the talking, and she's got a little dollhouse and she's having fun. The twins, because they were so young, are adapting to this attic, and it's really fucking sad because they're like, no, this is our world. It's like an indoor cat kind of situation of like, no, this is home. Like, this is home. Like, we always need a ceiling. The sky scares them. Because I will just jump real quick. They do try to take the twins on the roof. They find like a way to get on the roof to get some sun. And they try to take the twins, and the twins cannot handle open space. Again, they're like indoor cats when they get out, and they're just like, and it's awful. But at this moment in time, the kids are crafting upstairs. They're trying to make the most of it. One September afternoon, I raced down the attic stairs in a terrible hurry to reach the bathroom, and I collided smack into the grandmother. She seized hold of my shoulders and glared down into my face. "Watch where you're going, girl," she snapped. "Why are you in such a hurry?" Her fingers felt like steel through the thin fabric of my blue blouse. She'd spoken first, so I could answer. "Chris is painting the most beautiful landscape," I breathlessly explained. "And I've got to get back with fresh water before his large wash dries. It's important to keep the colors clean." "Why doesn't he come for his own water? Why do you wait on him?" "He's painting, and he asked if I didn't mind fetching him fresh water, and I wasn't doing anything but watching, and the twins would spill the water." "Fool. Never wait on a man. Make him wait on himself. Now spill out the truth. What are you really doing up there?" "Honest, I'm telling the truth. We're working hard to make the attic pretty so the twins won't be afraid up there, and Chris is a wonderful artist." She sneered and asked with contempt, "How would you know?" "He is gifted artistically, grandmother. All his teachers said so." "Has he asked you to pose for him without clothes?" I was shocked. "Of course not." "Then why are you trembling?" I'm scared of you," I stammered. "Every day you come in and ask what sinful, unholy thing we're doing, and truly, I don't know what it is you think we're doing. If you don't tell us exactly, how can we avoid doing something bad not knowing it is bad?" She looked me over down to my bare feet and smiled sarcastically. "Ask your older brother. He'll know what I mean. The male of the species is born knowing everything evil." Girl, preach. Boy, did I blink. Chris wasn't evil or bad. There were times when he was tormenting, but not unholy. I tried to tell her this, but she didn't want to hear. Later on in the day, she came into our room bearing a clay pot of yellow chrysanthemums. Striding directly to me, she put a pot in my hands. "Here are real flowers for your fake garden," she said without warmth. It was such an unwitch-like thing for her to do, it took my breath away. Was she going to change? See us differently? Could she learn to like us? I thanked her for the flowers, perhaps too much, for she spun around and stalked out as if embarrassed. The grandma, I don't know, I don't like the grandma, like, okay? But you know how like a Disney villain's kind of like iconic? You're just like, wow, they're a piece of shit. Like Carrie's mom. You know, we covered Carrie a few months ago. Her mom was a fucked up nightmare, but iconic. And, you know, Olivia Foxworth, iconic, because like she's not wrong. I like that she's telling her, I don't like what she's doing, but she told her granddaughter, like, don't wait on a man. Tell him to get his own fucking water, because then you're going to be fetching up and down these stairs all goddamn day. Not wrong. And I feel like that goes with all genders, you know, that's like just a thing. And then she's going to sit there and just be like, men know all evil. Ask your brother. I bet he'll know. And guess what? Chris does know what she's talking about. Poor Kathy is 12. She does not know the sexual implications that grandma and mom and Corin and all of these people keep talking around her about unholy things. And Kathy's like, what the fuck are they talking about? And Chris knows, because Chris is 14 at the time. So he kind of knows. Chris and Kathy fight because they're locked in an attic. And to make up for it, they fight just because like Kathy is at wit's end in that attic. You know, she's like, Chris, I want to leave. And he's like, just a few more months. And he makes her she's a ballerina, and he makes her a bar. like you do your warm-ups and stuff on. And he finds a record player and they get extension cords so that she can play all of Swan Lake and the Nutcracker and all this stuff, and she dances to her heart's content, and it gives her an artistic outlet. I think everybody needs an artistic outlet. I'm not artistic in a drawing sense. This is my artistic outlet is like storytelling. I think that's an art. I hope I'm decent at it. But I think this is my artistic outlet. I hope all y'all have one. I don't care what it is. Paint badly. It doesn't have to be good. Dance badly. Like I love to dance. That's another artistic thing I do. I like to sing terribly, but it's fun. And that's what Kathy's doing. She's going to dance. She's actually good at it though. She's a great ballerina. Her and Kathy and Chris like to lay on this old mattress up in the attic and just talk. And it kind of reminds me of her mom and her half uncle, because they would sit in the garden and talk. And so I'm kind of like, this house is just a breeding ground for incest in more ways than one. And her and Chris mostly talk about the future. They talk about the wives they're going to have. They're going to talk about the husbands they're going to have. They're talking about the kids. They're talking about, he's like, I'm going to go to be a playboy just for a little bit because we're going to have so much money. I'm going to like go through my thing and then I'll go to medical school and really hunker down. And Kathy's like, I'm going to fall in love and he's going to be great. And they tease each other about each other's spouses because Kathy loves her brother. She's kind of putting her ideology of her father in her brother as he achieves puberty and looks just like their dad. I know. Chris is literally turning into Chris Sr. in Kathy's eyes. And so she's, in my opinion, putting the love of her father into her brother, which doesn't help. And then he, throughout the novel, slowly loses that faith in Corin, his mama, and becomes very protective of Kathy and possessive. And if that is a form of love, we'll get into that. But we're kind of seeing those conversations of like, I want a husband that's just as great as you, Chris. And he's like, well, I want a wife that's just as silly as you, Kathy. And you're just like, I don't like that. I don't like that. They do talk about sex. Keep in mind, they're like, 13 and maybe 15 at this, like, not yet. I don't think a year has passed by, but like as they're going through puberty, they do acknowledge it and they do sometimes talk about it. But again, Chris is very logical. He's going to be a doctor. So he's like, you cannot faze me with such immature talk. And Kathy is also trying to be mature and she's just like, whatever. Boys have their parts and girls have their parts and it's fine. I don't know why grandma makes such a big deal about it. And grandma's sitting here just like, in a sick way, like Chris said, it's a sin, and yet you're putting us in the most impossible. You're putting two pubing out teenagers in a high stress situation, locked in an attic. I'm not sitting here saying it's inevitable, but like, would you be surprised if something happens, if they kiss each other? Like, we have this excerpt from just like attic living. Corey gets sick a lot. Corey is the smaller twin. I know in a lot of twin instances, one is usually smaller than the other, and Corey is the smaller one. And they were playing like hide and seek, and he fell in a trunk, and they could not find him because it's old fucking Smithsonian attic, and there's so many trunks. He like hid in a trunk, and they could not find where he was for like hours. And he's already kind of tiny, and he's not getting sunlight, and he's not getting adequate nutrition, and so it was a really detrimental moment for him to be locked in that trunk. And so they're trying to like get him. He had like almost hypothermia, I think. And it says here, if he could laugh, he could eat. And I fed him tiny bits of sandwich and gave him sips of lukewarm soup and long drinks of milk. And as I did this, I grew older. 10 years I aged in 10 minutes. I glanced over at Chris as he sat down to eat his lunch, and I saw that he too had changed. Now we knew there was a real danger in the attic beyond that of slow withering from lack of sunlight and fresh air. We all faced threats much worse than the mice and spiders that insisted on living, despite all we did to kill every last one. So now they're like, okay, so the attic that we made into a garden does hold danger. Be careful. Let's get into the holidays. Let's get into Thanksgiving. They've been up there since what? what has it been now? I want to say a few months they've been up there, and all their plants are dying, obviously. And it's kind of reflecting how they're withering away. The twins, so Kathy and Chris have the advantage of they were a little bit older, and so they're kind of managing a little bit better, but these twins are like 3 or 4. And so they are not developing well. It's Thanksgiving. Again, Corin is in and out. She's coming less. We all saw that coming. She's saying that I will bring y'all food. I will bring y'all Thanksgiving dinner up here and we'll eat together like a family. Great. She doesn't show up for hours and these kids are starving. Finally, she shows up and she makes this big, we see narcissist in her of just how hard it was for her to attend Thanksgiving, this Thanksgiving soiree. And it was so hard for her to have to leave the table and all of her guests and like go sneak food into a tray and take it to the kids. People thought she was crazy, y'all. Like she really looked crazy, but I did it for you, my little children. Like it makes you sick of, she's like, feeding her children was such a sacrifice for her, y'all, because she was at Thanksgiving dinner and people were asking where she was going. She looked crazy, really. The twins get sick and it takes them 19 days to get better because no one will take them to the doctor. They can't leave. Kathy's like, please take them to the doctor. Please take them to a pediatrician. And the grandma's like, no, they cannot leave. But luckily the twins pull through barely. And Kathy is so desperate for the twins. Now she's kind of like, okay, I can't get out, but the twins need to get out. Like they are dying. And she says, how long is our imprisonment going to last, Mama? A short while, Kathy. Only a short while longer. Believe that. Another month? Possibly. Could you manage somehow to sneak up here and take the twins outside for like a ride in your car? You could plan it so the servants wouldn't see. I think it would make an immense amount of difference. Chris and I don't have to go. She spun around and glanced at my older brother to see if he was in on this plot with me, but surprise was a dead giveaway on his face. No, of course not. I can't risk Tyke like that. 8 servants work in this house, and though their quarters are quite cut off from the main house, there is always something looking out the window, and they would hear me start up the car. Being curious, they would see what direction I took. My voice turned cold. Then would you see if you can manage to bring up fresh fruit, especially bananas? You know the twins love bananas, and they haven't seen one since we came. Tomorrow I'll bring bananas. Your grandfather doesn't like them. I'm not doing it justice, y'all. Like, it's just insane. Like, she says, Kathy, I'm doing the best I can. Don't I bring you gifts every time I come through the door? What is it you lack besides bananas? Name it. You promised we'd stay up here for a short while. It's been months. She spread her hands in a supplicating gesture. Do you expect me to kill my father? Numbly, I shook my head. You leave her alone, Chris exploded the moment the door closed behind his goddess. She does try to do the best she can by us. Stop picking on her. It's a wonder she comes to see us at all with you riding her back with your everlasting questions like you don't trust her. How do you know how much she suffers? Do you believe she's happy knowing her 4 children are locked in one room and left to play in the attic? It's hard to tell about someone like our mother, just what she's thinking and what she's feeling. Her expression was always calm, unruffled. And though she often appeared tired, her clothes were new, expensive, and we seldom saw her wear the same thing twice. And she brought us new and expensive clothes. Not that it mattered what we wore. Nobody saw us but the grandmother. And we could have worn rags, which indeed might have put a smile of pleasure on her face. And I like this rhyme that Kathy sings to Corey one night. I'm not going to sing it, don't worry. I hear the wind when it sweeps down from the hill. It speaks to me when the night is still. It whispers in my ear the words I never hear, even when he's near. I feel the breeze when it blows in from the sea. It lifts my hair, it caresses me. It never takes my hand to show it understands. It never touches me tenderly. Someday I know I'm going to climb this hill. I'll find another day, some other voice to say the words I've got to hear if I'm to live another year. We prepare for Christmas. Christmas is mixed feelings. Again, these are children, 14, 12 toddlers. Although Kathy is angry with her mother for obvious reasons, she still is excited to have Christmas. Like, her mama goes nuts at Christmas. Like, their whole room is stacked with things. Like, Chris has got a chemistry set. Kathy's got ballet costumes straight from like New York Ballet. Like, she's got a whole Swan Lake outfit. Like, she's got like Black Swan, Natalie Portman up in the attic, just like, and she gives Carrie a dollhouse. I know I mentioned it earlier. This is when she gives Carrie the dollhouse. And she said that the dollhouse, like, she goes on and on about, they've got actual oriental rugs. This is real china. This is real gold flakes. Like, everything is real silk. It was her mother's, the grandma. But the grandma's family kept it in a glass case. And Corin's daddy, when Corin got it, smashed the glass case and let Corin touch everything. And so you're kind of like, well, I can see why grandma hates her daughter, because her fucking husband lets her get away with everything. Like, the inner child of Olivia Foxworth, that's the grandma, the inner child, I know, should be appreciative and like trying to give her daughter the life she never had, letting her play with the dollhouse that was in the glass case. But you can't help but feel like, okay, you didn't have to take a hammer and smash it. You could have just like lifted it off and like we could have made this thing together. But Malcolm just has to do it for Corin because that's his little baby girl. And so I'm not sitting here saying like Olivia hates her daughter, but the dad didn't help. Here we have this. How can it look so new yet be so old? I asked. A dark cloud passed over Mama, a shadow on her face. When it belonged to my mother, it was kept in a huge glass box. She was allowed to look at it, but she could never touch it. When it was given to me, my father took a hammer and broke the glass box, and he allowed me to play with everything, on the condition that I would swear with my hand on the Bible not to break anything. Did you swear and did you break anything? Questioned Chris. Yes, I swore, and yes, I did break something. Her head bowed low so he couldn't watch her eyes. There was another doll, a very handsome man, and his arm came off when I tried to take his coat off. I was whipped, not only for breaking the doll, but for wanting to see what was underneath the clothes. Ugh. Mama agrees to let the older kids come look at the Christmas party through a grate on the floor or a table or something. There's a Christmas party. It's given Anastasia ball where she's like dancing with the ghosts of her family. It's huge. And Mama is like, okay, Chris and Kathy, I trust y'all. Y'all can come watch us rich people eat all the food you can't eat and have all like, it's really cruel. I don't know if I wouldn't be in this situation, but I don't know. She's indulging her children for Christmas. So the kids, the older kids, while the twins are sleeping, they sneak out and they observe this Christmas party. And they get to see for the first time, because they've been in this room the whole time, just how wealthy their technically family is. Again, Russian Romanov levels of wealth here. I don't know why I keep equating it to that. Like, there's so many other richer family. I don't know. Maybe because it's like a Christmas. I don't know. They see the grandmother when she's not wearing gray taffeta and she actually looks regal. They're just like, okay, she looks handsome. We'll give it to grandma. She looks good. They see the grandfather for the first time, y'all. They see the grandfather. He don't look that sick. He's shaking people's hands. He's smiling. He don't look like he's about to die. And so Kathy's freaking out. Chris is over here just like, oh my God, everything looks beautiful. We're going to have so much money. Look at how rich this is. And Kathy's like, that man's nowhere near death. He's in a wheelchair. He ain't dying. We're fucked. Like, Kathy, she's like, he ain't dying anytime soon. Not without help. They hear a gay couple gossiping about their mother, which I thought was like a weird tie-in in the book. But they hear these two men gossiping about Corin, and she just showed back up, and she's got all this money now, and her dead husband, and now she's just the belle of the ball. She gets the pick of the litter. She gets to have anybody. And there's a man with a dark mustache that's very interested in Corin, and he's kind of groping her and kissing her, and she's kind of embarrassed because she's like, I'm in public. And Chris and Kathy are watching their mom flirt with this man, and then they're listening to these two queens shit talk her. It's an outing, to say the least. They go back to their room. They talk about the party. Obviously, Chris and Kathy are arguing because Kathy's just like, so Mama's going to move on. That's not good. Grandfather doesn't look sick. That's not good either. And Chris is like, oh my God, Kathy, you're such a bummer. And Kathy has this small moment where the garnet ring that her father gave her, she now wears as a talisman around her neck, and she thumbs it. And at the end of all of this grand party, she says, a ring I'd outgrown a long time ago, my touchstone, my talisman worn on a very fine gold chain. Merry Christmas, Daddy. Like, this poor family, this poor girl, she was set up for failure from day one. Like, I think a lot of discussion, we'll get into the discussion of fans and stuff, but a lot of people think without the attic, like, Chris and Kathy still would have had a fucked up family. The way the Foxworths operate, even Chris Sr. and Corin, and like how they handled stuff throughout the novel, like you get like they kind of look back on things, but we'll get into that in the end. Mama shows up and shakes Kathy awake. Where's your brother? Chris is missing. Dun, dun, dun. Chris is gone because he wanted to go explore. There's so many people in the house and everybody is so busy. He wore a disguise and just roamed. He just wanted to go look around the house. And Mama went to check on them and he ain't there. And she's like, where the fuck is your brother? She's freaking the fuck out. He sneaks in while she's interrogating Kathy. Mama slaps Chris. Can you imagine if your goddess slapped you across the face? We are now seeing the very inclinations of Chris not really liking his mama that much, finally. Finally, he is now seeing the humanity within his goddess. Obviously, she snaps out of it when he's like standing there like, what? And she, in my opinion, this is not stated, but in my opinion, she loses her pawn. She sees like, oh shit, I'm going to lose my pawn. Because she's been manipulating Chris. Like the mamas and the sons and the mamas in this book, in this family, because like in the other series, other kids are made. And I think, in my opinion, Corin, when she slaps Chris, snaps out of it, not out of sympathy for, oh my God, I just hit my son, but because she's like, oh fuck, he's going to turn on me. I can't manipulate him if he hates me. And so she immediately, in her narcissist fashion, throws herself on, oh my God, I had my baby. I'm so sorry, Chris. I was just so worried. If you get caught, what if they arrest you and I'll never see you again? She says she has something to tell the kids. She doesn't let them know just exactly. But while Chris was out and about, he saw Mama not kissing Santa Claus, kissing the dark mustache man that's not Daddy. And it's only been a few months. Like, it's kind of been like half a year since the love of her life fucking died. And I'm not sitting here saying you can't date after your partner passes away. Maybe a little more grief. If you have 4 kids, maybe not that Christmas immediately like kind of get with someone. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of like, And let's get into his own fall from grace from his mama, in the sense that Chris sees his mama flirting with him. He sees his goddess, his perfect mama, who loves his daddy, who's doing everything she can for him and his siblings, flirt with a man, take her back to the bedroom with the swan bed. This book has an infamous swan bed that is throughout the series. Fucking swan bed. And he wants to see it. And Corin's like, oh, Bart, his name's Bart. Oh, Bart, I guess one little peek won't hurt. Chris is seeing the humanity in his mother, that she is not the perfect little lady that he thinks. And we close this chapter with this. In the dark, the little live Christmas tree, 2 feet tall, sparkled with tiny colored lights, like the tears I saw glistening in my brother's eyes. Chris is 14. He's a baby. His little world is being obviously rocked, but we get a chapter that kind of time skips the rest of the year, like winter, spring, summer. Mama, it shows her bringing gifts for birthdays. She never misses a birthday. They get tons of gifts for their birthdays. She brings up, Kathy obviously starts her period. And so Mama comes up and gives her pads and tells her, like, this is going to happen every month. Don't make a fuss about it. No one likes a woman that makes a big fuss about, and then she literally is like, cramps won't happen if you just don't think about them. I know so many women just went, girl. Okay. She brings the kids books and Chris freaks out. He's like, I don't want a fucking book. Like he's pubing out. Okay. He's pubing out. He's getting that temper. That testosterone is bubbling. And he's like fighting with his mom. And he's like, I don't want the fucking book. I don't want a book. I want to run. I want to see girls. I want to be out of this thing. They have a TV. Corin gave them a TV at Christmas, which is again, cruel thing to do. She gave them a TV so they can sit there and watch Small Wonder and fucking what was on, like Mickey Mouse and shit. They can watch Leave It to Beaver. They can watch Charlie's Angels and just sit there and be like, wow, that must be nice. It's just cruel to give them TV. But the twins love the TV. The twins are glued to the TV for obvious reasons. You talk about screen iPad kids, those twins on that TV. They keep it on 24/7. 24/7 that TV is on. Even when back in the day when they ran out of TV, because hey, young kids, sometimes the TV just ran out of programs and they would just do the American flag. And from like midnight to probably like 4 a.m., it was just a flag. And they would play music. Yeah. The TV ran out of programs at one point in time. Kathy and Chris are teaching Corey and Carrie how to read and write. Mama's like, y'all should play school and you should teach your brother and sister how to read and write. Wouldn't that be fun? And Kathy, of course, says, or they could go to school. I am 15, or let's see, she's 14, 15 right now. And well, okay, obviously at this moment in time, she's 13. And then Chris is 15. And it kind of time skips a lot. At the end of this novel, they are, I believe, 16 and 18. Yeah. So just know that they're teenagers throughout this novel. Kathy starts feeling jealous that Chris loves their mom more than her. It's summertime. They're laying naked on the roof because they found a little spot where no one can see them and it's hot. And so they're in the shade on the roof naked. Preteens. And he's talking about how awesome mama is and his faith in her. And Kathy is starting to get upset because she's like, he loves mama more than me. Because again, she's going through puberty and she's having a lot of hormonal emotions. And we come to part 2. They have been in this attic for a full year. Granddaddy hadn't died. They've been slapped and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's been awful. Their mama also gives them, as if the TV wasn't bad enough, she gives them fucking calendars. Why would you do that? Why? She gives them calendars. And it says here, after part 2, another year passed, much as the first did. Mother came less and less frequently, and always with the promises that kept us hoping, kept us believing our deliverance was only a few weeks away. The last thing we did each night was to mark that day off with a big red X. We now had 3 calendars with big red X's. And it goes on to talk about the grandfather, now 68, was always about to breathe his last breath. He lived on and on and on while we waited in limbo. It seemed he'd lived to be 69. So yeah, that day that turned into a week turned into 3 years. And they only have one mirror in the bathroom. It's like a tiny little mirror, I think. And they haven't really been punished in those 3 years. They've been behaving. They've been doing the right rules. But it says here, to be perfectly honest, none of us cared very much who saw what, talking about each other's bodies. We should have cared. We should have been careful. We should have kept the memory of Mama's bloody, welted back sharply before us and never, never forgotten. Kathy, as a young person does, finally gets in front of the dressing mirror and takes off all her clothes when no one's around and inspects her body. She has a ton of naked statues and art around her, but she wants to look at her body, and she's noticing her new chest and hips and hair everywhere, and she's kind of exploring, not sexually, but just biologically exploring her body. And she looks, and I whirled about suddenly to catch Chris standing in the deep shadows of the closet. Silently, he'd come from the attic. His eyes lowered from my flushed face down to my breasts, then lower and down to my feet before they traveled upward ever so slowly. I stood trembling, uncertain, wondering what to do that wouldn't make him make me seem a foolish prude in the judgment of a brother who knew well how to mock me when he chose. He seemed a stranger, older, like someone I'd never met before. He also seemed weak, dazed, perplexed, and if I moved to cover myself, I'd steal from him something he'd been starving to see. Chris, please go away. He didn't seem to hear. He only stared. It goes on for a little bit, and for the first time, I felt embarrassed, ashamed of what I had done, and quickly I reached to pick up the dress I had just taken off. Behind that, I would shield myself, and I would tell him to go away. Don't, he said when I had my dress in my hands. You shouldn't, I stammered, trembling more. I know I shouldn't, but you look so beautiful. It's like I never saw you before. How did you grow so lovely when I was here all this time? Oh, what the hell? Y'all, I feel so bad for these kids. Oh my God. And as luck would have it, guess who walks in? Fucking grandma. And she goes, sinners. They try to obviously explain, like, Kathy was changing. I just walked down. Like, I'm just as shocked as you are, grandma. And they think, like, oh my God, this grandma's going to kill us. She's going to peel our skins off. That's literally the rules. We're not supposed to look at each other, much less look at each other naked. And what the grandma threatens to do is she comes in with a pair of scissors. And Kathy has long, beautiful golden hair because her daddy once told her he loves long hair on little girls. And so she never wants to cut her hair. And grandma comes in with kitchen shears and she says, I'm going to cut your hair off for being naked. And Chris obviously is like, the fuck you are? Like, absolutely not. And the grandma's like, you know what? You're right. You're going to cut it off. You're going to cut her hair. And I'm not going to feed y'all until it's done. And she leaves. And she starves them for a week. A week. And in that week, all hell fucking breaks loose. This is one of the rougher chapters. Because in that week, Kathy wakes up one day. The grandmother snuck in, drugged her out, and poured tar on her head. Y'all, she could have just cut the fucking hair off if she's drugged out, but she poured. Every time I have like a little sympathy for the grandma, I'm like, oh, never mind. You know, because at first they're kind of like, well, she feeds us. Like, she does wake up really early in the morning to beat the servants and feeds us. But she pours tar on Kathy's head. And Kathy is trying not to freak the twins out. And the twins are like, Kathy, why would you do that? And she's like, I don't know. It just happened. And Kathy is she has waist length long blonde hair covered in tar. And she is crying. She's like, we're going to have to cut it. This is why she did it. Chris uses his little fucking chemistry set. And for 5 hours, they try to get the tar out of her hair. And they get a lot of it out, but her hair is never the same. It's never thick and beautiful. It's like thin corn silk hair. And I'm kind of like, I hate it because it reminds me a lot of, that's usually that's such a power move is hair. Controlling someone's hair, it seems so frivolous, but like you look at how Native Americans, their hair was cut. A lot of Asian communities, when people went in there, and anytime like a colonizer comes to take over a country, they attack hair. Like, hair is such a personal thing and it means so much. Hair holds memories. Like they always say, if you break up with somebody, like you go get your hair cut, or if someone passes away, you don't cut your hair, like Kathy. And so Kathy doesn't, she holds, I know she says like, oh, it's because daddy says he likes long hair, but we know like, oh no, it's because you're holding like your dad's memory in your hair. And so for the grandma to pour tar on that and try to force Kathy to part with the last kind of thing of her father. And like this thing that because the grandma's like, it's prideful, you know, and all this stuff. It holds vanity. Hair's tough. Like that's such, like, look at like how a lot of white communities handled black hair for so long and still do, because they refuse to fucking understand or educate themselves on it. Don't get me started. And like how that's handled in like a lot of Sikh communities, Pentecostals and stuff. Like, hair is important to a lot of cultures. And then for the other cultures to kind of like hurt somebody, you cut their hair, or I don't know. And it reminds me also of like those homeless or the people without home videos where they like give a shave and a haircut to somebody off the street and it just changes them. I don't know. I think the hair thing is like an important moment of discussion if I had a book club about this. They try to get around cutting her hair by just cutting the front of her hair, and she wears like a little turban to make it look like, oh, they cut her hair off and she's just really ashamed. So she's got like hair in the back. It sounds fucking miserable. They are starved for, I think, a week or two. They run out of toilet paper. The toilet overflows because they were using pages out of a book, and so poopy water's everywhere. It was bad enough that they lived in the attic, but now they don't have supplies and clean linens and toilet paper and food. And so they are really, really struggling. Trigger warning for blood, in the sense that the kids, Corey and Carrie, are starving, especially Corey. Remember, he's very weak. And he is suffering so much that Chris feeds him his blood. He makes a tourniquet and he cuts a vein in his arm and forces Corey to drink it. And before he can feed Kathy or Carrie, Kathy grabs his knife. She chunks his knife. I stopped him, seized hold of the jackknife, and hurled it away. He ran fast to get it, and again, he cleaned it with alcohol despite my vow never to taste his blood and drain him from more of his strength. Like, Chris is literally giving his body to his brothers and his brother and sisters to keep them alive. Whereas fucking Corin's over here on a yacht with Bart. But it's okay, because she drops off, you know, FAO Schwartz and Louis Vuitton's shit. And the kids are like, I can't eat Louis Vuitton. They decide to try to climb out with the twins on their backs. They obviously, hindsight is 2020, and they're like, we probably should have done this when we were fed, because now we are incredibly weak. But Chris, they have the rope ladder, like they tied sheets together. They have it ready. They have the twins bundled up, and Chris is like, I'm gonna go downstairs, and I forget what he has to go get. He's getting salt and pepper because they're gonna eat the mice that they find in the rat traps. They're gonna skin the mice and eat raw rats for nourishment. And so he goes downstairs to get salt and pepper, and there's the picnic basket. Grandma brought food just as they were about to escape. The grandma also, while she brought the picnic baskets down, she smashed all the mirrors. There was, I think, 2, and she smashed them all so that Kathy and everybody can never look at themselves ever again. It's just, and Kathy, in this narrative of this book, she, in this section, goes on to kind of talk about her relationship with Chris, in that they are completely and utterly forever trauma bonded. And as I was discussing this book with other people, I was like, look, I'm not sitting here saying like I understand why they kind of developed feelings for each other, but I'm just saying, if someone came up to me and was like, my husband's my brother, we were locked in an attic for 3 years, and he fed our younger siblings blood, and we were bullwhipped by my grandmother, and she poured hot tar on my head. You know, like things like that. I'd be like, yeah. No judgment here. That sounds like something only y'all two can talk about. And in the picnic basket, for the first time, because they have been denied sweets for 3 years because sweets make cavities and they can't go to the dentist, there's 4 donuts, 4 powdered donuts in that picnic basket. And oh, it's like heaven. It is the most, they've been surrounded by luxury goods, but they have been denied love and warm food for 3 years. I don't give a fuck. I love dolls. There's no doll that can beat like a warm donut, I had a cousin that was in the military, and my grandma cooked for him when he came back. I felt like I should have left the room the way he moaned eating that food. He was so deprived. He was in Iraq for like years, and he was so deprived of like home cooking. We all at the table were just like, not making fun of him, but it's orgasmic home cooking. You can't beat it. And like these donuts, they're just like, oh my God. Chris and Kathy, one evening in the summer, he's like, let's take this rope ladder and go for a swim in the lake. There's a lake, of course, there's a lake. And Kathy's like, absolutely not. And he's like, look, when the twins are asleep, let's go. Let's go. Let's see if we can do it. Fuck it. And they do. They climb down the rope ladder and they walk to the lake and they skinny dip. They skinny dip, but I mean, what can you do? They skinny dip and they have a great time. And it's their first time touching grass in 3 years. They sit there and look at fireflies drying out. And again, they were talking like they're falling in love with each other. She asks, do you believe in love first sight? He says, no, not really. Like, again, he's very logical. And he's like, I think love at first sight is a physical attraction. I think you're just attracted lustfully to each other. And he's like, I think you need to be attracted to somebody's mind for it to be like true love, which is pretty profound for like a 15, 16-year-old. And Kathy's like, do you think I'm stupid? And he's like, I don't think you're stupid at all. I think you're just such a dreamer and you want to do everything. You want to be a singer. You want to be an actress. You want to be all these things. And they're just kind of like talking about how much they love each other, but it kind of leans towards a more romantic inclination. But they do also ask, where's Mama? Mama hasn't shown up in a long time, in probably months. And as Kathy's kind of prodding him about like, where do you think she is? He says, I don't know, he said irritably, like I was spoiling the evening for him. And of course he couldn't know any more than I could. Chris, do you love and trust her as much as you used to? Don't ask me questions like that. She's my mother. She's all we've got. And if you expect me to lie here and say mean things about her, I'm not going to do it. Wherever she is tonight, she's thinking of us and she's coming back. She'll have a perfectly good reason for going away and staying so long. You can count on that. And Kathy's like, okay. Again, that faith. He has the faith and she's a doubter. As they climb back up to the mansion, she slips and nearly falls and like kills herself. Because again, it's like climbing down Mr. Darcy's house. It's like climbing down. She nearly falters. And that's when they're like, okay, we cannot like slip in and out like this, like we want to, because if we come back down again, it has to be for good. And we're kind of getting the inclinations that they might actually fucking get out of there. Chris, remember when Mama told us that it was money that made the world go round and not love? Well, I think she's wrong. Yeah? Give that a bit more thought. Why can't you have both? I gave it thought, plenty of thought. I lay and stared up at the ceiling that was my dancing floor, and I mulled life and love over and over. And from every book I've ever read, I took one wise bead of philosophy and strung them all into a rosary to believe in for the rest of my life. Love, when it came and knocked on my door, was going to be enough. And that unknown author who'd written that if you had fame, it was not enough. If you had wealth as well, it was still not enough. And if you had fame, wealth, and love, still it was not enough. Boy, did I feel sorry for him. Guess who shows up one rainy afternoon? Mama. Kathy is scrapbooking. She's got magazines and she's building her dream house out of magazines. I used to do that, like a vision board. We should get back to that. Let's make vision boards. Physical ones, not Pinterest ones. I have a ton of Pinterest vision boards. Chris and Kathy have another fight about Mama. Talking about how he hates the attic. He hates it too. Like, Kathy, I don't fucking thrive here either. But I think about all that money. Half of it should be Mama and ours. I tell myself, no matter what, it's going to be worth it. That old man can't live forever. All the money in the world isn't worth the days of living we've lost, Kathy says. And again, Kathy's like a teenager and she's just like, Chris, it is not worth it. The twins are suffering. They have not grown an inch in 3 years. They have not seen sunlight. They go on to describe in this book that the twins' heads are real big and their eyes are real big, but their bodies are real tiny, like little aliens. And Kathy kind of has this moment where she thinks like God is punishing them for what their parents did. She's like, God hates us because our incestuous parents fucked each other. And Chris is like, no, we're up here because Grandmama's a bitch. Grandmama shows up. Chris snaps on her. He is, I think, 16. He's 16 right now. Grandmama shows up with her bullshit. She's mad at him for living, I guess. I don't know. And Chris snaps. And he starts yelling at her. And he's just like, you're a fucking... He doesn't say this verbatim, but he's just like, you're a fucking bitch. You're just mad because your daughter slept with the guy that's in her house. Like, that's not our problem. We were born. It's not our fault. You are insane. Like, he's saying everything the reader has been wanting to say. And she leaves the room, comes back with that fucking bullwhip. And she takes him in the bathroom and once again beats the piss out of Chris with that bullwhip. He doesn't scream. Carrie, God damn it. Kathy, God, I keep saying Carrie. Kathy screams for him. Like they almost have like a twin connection because she feels his pain. And he never screams because Kathy is screaming for him through the door. It's awful. And Kathy breaks down the door and starts beating on the grandma and says, one day you're going to be old and feeble and I'm going to have all your money and I'm going to lock you in this attic and I'm going to starve you. Like they're having their breaking moment with this fucking grandma. There's going to come a day when you are going to be the helpless one and I'm going to hold the whip in my hands and there's going to be food in the kitchen that you're never going to eat. For as you incessantly say, God sees everything and he sees his way of working justice. An eye for an eye is his way, grandma. You're not a woman. You're something inhumane. My reward for that was a belting whack against the right head of my skull. Everything went black. So grandma essentially just beats Chris and Kathy not finally like they deserved it, but like they lived 3 years without ever really pissing their grandma off. They did. And she wakes up and her and Chris are in bed naked because they can't wear clothes because of the bullwhip marks. Like if you ever had a sunburn or a cut and the blood sticks, so they're naked laying in bed. We held each other carefully, our bare bodies pressed together, my breast flattened against his chest. Then he was murmuring my name and tugging off the wrapping from my head, letting loose my spill of long hair before he cupped my head in his hands to gently ease it closer to his lips. It felt odd to be kissed while laying naked in his arms, and not right. Stop, I whispered fearfully, feeling that male part of him grow hard against me. This is just what she thought we did. Bitterly, he laughed before he drew away, telling me I didn't know anything. There was more to making love than just kissing, and we hadn't done more than kiss ever. And never will, I said, but weakly. That night I went to sleep after thinking of his kiss, and not the whipping or the blows from the brush. Swelling up in both of us was a turmoil of whirling emotions. Something sleeping deep inside of me had awakened, quickened, just as Aurora slept until the prince came to put on her quiet lips a long lover's kiss. That was the way of all fairy tales, ending with the kiss, and a happily ever after. There had to be some other prince for me to bring a happy ending. Y'all, her fucking brother was her first kiss. God damn. I'm wanting to scream, but I'm in my mama's house. And if I scream, goddamn, she's gonna come in here. But this poor little girl, like I feel bad for both of them, truly. They live this like privileged little cracker ass life, and then they gonna sit there and end up their first kisses each other. Like it's just, but poor little girl, she just dreams of her fairy tale. She just dreams of falling in love. And here she is falling in love with her brother. Her brother. In this next chapter, I know we go from incest to Corey, little baby Corey. He gets a pet, a rat. He finds a rat that has its leg hurt in a mousetrap, and he desperately wants to have it as a pet. And he does. Corey makes a pet, and they name it Mickey. Mickey the mouse. And he loves that little rat. It's very cute. Rats are very nice pets. They don't live long. A lot of rodentia, if you will, guinea pigs, hamsters, rats, mice. They're very rewarding pets. I worked with them when I worked at the zoo. They're great. They just don't live long. So know that. And Kathy says, as far as I knew, Corey had just about everything money could buy except a pet, his freedom, and the great outdoors. He trains the rat to like go in each breast pocket for like a PB&J over here and like crackers over here. Like it's a whole chapter about like Corey training this rat. This chapter, at last, Mama comes back. Where's Mama been? Mama's been gone for a while. While she's been gone, her kids have grown boobs and balls. Kathy is now defensive of the twins again. Like she's like, their eyes are sunken in, their teeth are disgusting. Like, how can Mama do this to the babies? They call them the buttercups. Her and Chris call them the buttercups. And throughout this novel, the twins now see Chris and Kathy as Mama and Daddy. Corey calls Kathy Mama and runs to her. And she says these are my twins. Like throughout this novel, you see them slowly drip into a family unit of Chris is the daddy, Kathy is the mommy, and the twins are the babies, because they say our twins. What are we going to do about our twins? And mama's going to come, bother our twins and the buttercups, and they're so sick, and we need to do something for the twins. And the twins call them mama and daddy, and you're just like, oh my God. But Kathy says this: does money make the world go around, or is it love? Enough love bestowed on the twins, and I would have read 6 or 7 or maybe 8 inches gain in height, not only 2. So what she's saying is she had this whole time saying, like, love is enough. We don't need money. We need each other. We need love. But the reality that we all know is that love is not going to make those kids get healthy. They need sunshine. They need food. They need clean water. Like, it is a privilege to have the fresh outdoors and adequate food and nutrition. It's a privilege that they're being denied. And I know, like, that's the whole theme of this novel is it money or love that makes the world go round? What is it, nature or nurture? What would they have turned out this way without the attic? A lot of fans think so, but we'll get into that. That's kind of the question of, like, remember, it was just love. Like, we don't need these fucking toys. We don't need these, like, Louis Vuitton things. Like, what good is it if no one looks at it? That's the only reason people like designer clothes, is for the looking of it. But here she is. She's like, I love these twins as if they are my own. And they have not grown but 2 inches in like 4 years. It's not enough. The twins need more. I'm sorry, I'm like way over here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm like way to the, like, one side, but that is because, like, the light. I know y'all are probably like sitting there this whole time being like, scoot over, Montana. Okay, is that better? I don't know. The sun is setting, y'all. Okay, don't yell at me. I don't have a camera crew. I'm in my bedroom. Oh, but Mama shows up in this chapter. Here I am. Aren't you glad to see me? Oh, you just don't know how very glad I am to see all of you. I've missed you so much, and I've thought about you. I've dreamed of you, and I've brought you oh so many beautiful presents that I chose with such care. Just wait until you see them. And I had to be so sneaky, for how could I explain buying things for children? I just wanted to make up for being away for so long. I did want to tell you I was leaving. Really, I did, but it was so complicated. I didn't know how exactly long I'd be gone, and though you missed me and you were cared for, weren't you? You didn't suffer, did you? We're all sitting here just like, girl got tarred. Yeah. Had we suffered? Had we only missed her? Who was she anyway? Idiot thoughts while I stared at her and listened to how difficult 4 hidden children made the lives of others. And though I wanted to deny her, keep her from ever really being close again, I faltered, filling with hope, wanting so much to love her and trust her again. Again, Corin has become their god. Corin is their religion. She is their god. Y'all. Christopher, she said, her eyes widening in surprise. You don't sound like yourself. Her eyes flicked from me to him, then to the twins. Her vivaciousness simmered down. Christopher, did anything go wrong? Wrong? Mama, what can be right about living in one room? You said I don't sound like myself. Look over good. Am I a little boy now? Look at Kathy. Is she still a child? Look longest at the twins. Notice in particular how tall they've grown. Then turn your eyes back on me and tell me and Kathy are still children to be treated with condescension and are incapable of understanding adult subjects. We haven't remained idle, twiddling our thumbs while you're off having a good time. Through books, Kathy and I have lived a zillion lives. Our vicarious way to feel alive. Mama wanted to interrupt, but Chris overrode her small voice, which faltered. He threw her many gifts a scornful glance. So you come back bearing peace offerings like you always do when you've done wrong. Why do you keep thinking your stupid gifts can make up for what we've lost and what we're constantly losing? Sure, we were once delighted with games and toys and clothes you brought up to our prison room, but we're older now and gifts aren't enough. Christopher, please, she begged and looked uneasily at the twins again. So quickly she averted her eyes. Please don't speak as if you've stopped loving me. I couldn't bear it. I love you, was his reply. I make myself keep on loving you despite what you do. I've got to love you. We all have to love you, to believe in you and think you are looking out for our best interests. But look at us, Mama. Really see us. Kathy feels, I feel, that you close your eyes to what you're doing to us. You come to us smiling and dangle before our eyes and our ears bright hopes of the future, and nothing ever materializes. Long ago, when you first told us about this house and your parents, you said we'd be shut up in this room for a night. Then you changed it to a few days. And then it was a few weeks. Another few months. Over 2 years have passed while we wait for an old man to die, who may never die from the skilled way his doctors keep pulling him back from the grave. This room is not improving our health. Can you see that? He almost shouted, his boyish face suffused with red as his limit of self-control was reached at last. I thought I would never live to see the day when he would attack our mother, his beloved mother. The sound of his loud voice must have startled him, for he lowered his tone and spoke more calmly, yet his words had the impact of bullets. Mama, whether or not you inherit your father's immense fortune, we want out of this room. Not next week, not tomorrow, but today. Now, this minute. You turn that key over to me and we'll go far, far away. And you can send us money if you care to, or send nothing if that's what you want, but you will never see us again if that's your choice, and that will solve all of your problems. We'll be gone from your life, and your father never need to know we existed, and you can have what he leaves of you all to yourself. Mama went pale from shock. Ooh. Come on, Chris. Come on, Chris. Mama, of course, handles it like a bitch. And she's like, well, I see you're not yourself. I'm just going to go then if you just don't want to see me. And then Kathy starts up and she's like, look at my babies. Look at the buttercups. They're wilting. And throughout this chapter, they have this thing with their mama of like, they're screaming at mama. Mama says, I'm the only one that's ever loved you. I'm the only one that comes up here with love. And it kind of falters. I think my nephew's like just showed up to take a shower. This house is like a communal house. Anyways, but mama brings them a bunch of toys and bullshit. And she's like, I'm the only one that's ever loved y'all. And she cries and then they feel bad because it's their mama and she's crying. It is so fucked up. Again, y'all got to read this book. I'm not doing it justice because I'm trying to recap it in like what? I hope this has been 3 hours. It's not enough, but she brings them like fancy dresses and Kathy snaps and get like the tautness of the string that is their relationship with their mother throughout this novel. Like she brings her this crushed blue velvet dress and Kathy just like crushes the velvet, which ruins it. So she can't take it back. She's like, I don't even want her to take it back. Because it doesn't fit. Y'all, the designer clothes their mama brings don't even fit them. She don't know what size they are. Kathy needs a bra. And her mama won't bring her one because she doesn't understand. And Kathy's freaking out. She says, Christopher, I screamed, unable to control myself. Sometimes I hate mama. And not only that, sometimes I hate you too. Sometimes I hate everybody, most of all myself. Sometimes I wish I were dead because I think we would all be better off dead than buried alive up here, just rotten like vegetables. Her and Chris have a heart-to-heart, and they just, every time they have a heart-to-heart, y'all, it inches so much closer to them just falling in love with each other. Again, I'm not going to sit here and be like, they should live happily ever after, but y'all, they can't be with anybody but each other after this. They are making a romance in the pivotal time of their life, in puberty. They are reading romance novels left and right. They are watching soap operas. They are facing abuse and using each other to cling to for comfort. He talks about how he's not stupid. He sees what mama is doing to the twins. I know mama takes care of herself first and us next. That old moon was out to sparkle, the tears frozen in his eyes. His voice in my ear had been gritty, hushed, and deep. All of this he said without bitterness, only regret. Just that flat, emotionless way a doctor tells his patient he has a terminal illness. That's when it came over me in a cataclysmic flood. I loved Chris, and he was my brother. He made me whole. He gave me what I lacked, a stability that I would run off wild and frantic. And what a perfect way to strike back at mama and the grandparents. God wouldn't see. He'd close his eyes to everything the day Jesus was put on the cross. But Daddy was up there looking down, and I cringed in shame. Y'all, that quote, God wouldn't see. He'd close his eyes the day Jesus was put on the cross. Let's just sit in silence with that for a second. Wow. That's awful for a child to feel. That's awful for a person to feel. But I understand it. They're locked in a fucking attic, y'all. This reminds me of the infamous quote that the Holocaust victim said of, if you die and you go to God, something about forgiveness. And he's like, God will have to ask me for forgiveness. You see someone faced with such trauma and you're going to sit there and say, God has a plan. Don't say that. But that is a powerful thing for a child to say. Mama has her surprise. The next chapter, Mama is engaged or married. I'm not sure which. I think she got married and they went on a honeymoon. Yeah, she was gone because she was on her honeymoon. She was on her honeymoon, y'all. Mama married Bart. They have a stepdaddy now that doesn't know that they exist. Can you imagine? Like marrying somebody and they have 4 kids in the fucking attic that you didn't even know about? And Bart is her daddy's attorney. Because I know what you're saying. Does he know that this family's fucking crazy? That's her daddy's attorney. Oh my God. Kathy and Chris are pissed. They're talking about it. And Kathy is so in love with her brother. She's like, you know what? I don't think he's cut his hair much since they've been in the attic. And so she's like, you need a grown man haircut. You need to look like a man. And so she cuts his hair and he looks just like daddy. He looks just like daddy. My brother looks like daddy. Oh my God, this is just Southern Gothic horror. She even refers to her dad as the blue-eyed Grecian godfather. Are there blue-eyed Greeks? If I'm thinking of a Greek god, not thinking blue eyes. I'm sure there are, but you know what I mean. Blue-eyed Greek god. Kind of like white Jesus. She goes to cut his hair. He's like, now it's my turn to cut your hair. And he has like this like lunatic moment of chasing her through the attic with scissors and he accidentally cuts her. Like it's actually really scary. He chases her through the attic like a maniac with scissors. And he's 17. It's very scary for her. And she's kind of like, Chris, what the fuck? And he was like, I was just teasing, but you ran and just something came over me and I had to chase you. And I know like it might be an inclination to, again, that testosterone and that hormonal drive, but I don't know. Discuss it in the comments why he felt so needing to chase her when she ran away from him like a predator. And he accidentally cuts her, and so he's a doctor, and they take off her shirt and it's on her ribs, and he fixes it and like puts a band-aid around it, but her breasts are exposed and he feels really bad and he's upset, and she wants to y'all, this book gets so fucked up. She wants to comfort him like Mama did, and so she pulls his head to her bare breasts. I'm trying to whisper this because again, I'm at my parents' house. I just heard my dad come in from work. They're gonna be like, what is your channel about? But she wants to comfort him like Mama used to, and so she pulls his head to her bare breasts, and he he touches her on her chest and kisses her sensitive area there. And she enjoys it. And he enjoys it. And it doesn't escalate to more, just that, because obviously they're like, they snap out of it. But for a brief moment, brother and sister are caressing each other's bare breasts and kissing nipples. Just like Mama did. Obviously they snap out of it, but they discuss it later of like, what we did was sinful. And Chris is like, it's only sinful if you feel bad. Do you feel bad? And Kathy's like, not really. Mama is going off on her honeymoon, and then she's going to go Christmas shopping in New York. And then because it's going to be really cold, she's going to go on a cruise afterwards. So she won't see the kids for a while. And she's like, but what can I pick y'all up while we're in the Bahamas? What do y'all want? Y'all want like, what gifts do you want from the Bahamas while I'm down there? What do you want from New York? I'll pick you up whatever you want. And the kids kind of play her. They're just like, oh, if you could get me this toy or that'd be great. We're so happy for you, Mama. And then as soon as she leaves, Chris and Kathy are just like, we're getting the fuck out of here. We are going to start going down to Mama's room and stealing. We are going to start stealing money because they're so rich. They leave money everywhere. Her and Bart leave money everywhere. They start stealing every night, and like The first time, like Chris goes by himself and then Kathy insists on going and he's like, all right, get ready. Like you're not going to like what you're going to see. And when Kathy enters her mom's bedroom with the swan bed and she has, I mean, it's just opulence. She has so many clothes and all of the makeup, all of the skincare, all of the perfumes for a little teenage girl to just go, are you fucking kidding me? This is her room? And so Kathy puts on her clothes, puts on her makeup, and just goes fucking berserk as you would. But she finds a book about sewing in her mama's bedside table. And she's like, wow, mama hasn't sewn in like a long time since daddy died. I wonder what she's doing with this. She opens it up. It's porn. She opens it up and it's photographs of people. And her and Chris become obsessed with it. They are fascinated with that little book. And every time they go steal from mom, they go look at mom's porno book. And that's not really helping their situation at all. Because now if you thought Chris was horny before, oh my God. Chris gets sick and can't go steal one night. They're trying to get $500 so they can be pretty well established and get an apartment or something. And so they're trying to steal the equivalent of like $500. And they're getting close. I think they have like 300. Chris gets sick one day and he can't go steal. And so Kathy goes by herself. And when she gets down there, her stepfather's in there. But he's asleep. Bart is asleep. And Kathy is so pubing out. And he is so handsome that while he sleeps on the chair, she kisses him. And a fan on Reddit, on the VC Andrews subreddit, had this great bit about Kathy. Throughout the series, you'll learn Kathy's character of, there's not a father figure Kathy won't fuck. So let that be known if you're interested in reading book 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But Kathy, as her stepfather is asleep, gives him a chaste little kiss and starts saying, I could wake him up. Why would he want my mother when he could have an untouched, younger version of her? But she doesn't wake him up. Chris goes a week later to Rob, and he hears Mom and Bart come in the room, and he throws himself in the closet. And Mom and Bart are arguing about the maids stealing from them. They're like, oh my God, I know I left $20 here. Like, the maids are stealing from us. We've got to stop leaving money around. And Chris is like, God damn it. And then Bart they mention something, like they're kind of fighting. And Bart mentions this dream girl that kissed him in his dream that looked just like Corinne, but just a little bit younger. A young Corinne. And Corinne's like, ugh, you and that dream girl, like whatever. And he's like, she did. I could have sworn she was here. And she gave me a kiss. And I've been thinking about her ever since. And y'all, Chris is pissed. Let that be the synopsis of so many chapters. Chris goes upstairs and confronts Kathy about how careless she was. She could have blown their cover. What if he would have woke up, Kathy? What if he would have woke up? Who the fuck are you? What you gonna say? Oh, me and my brothers and sister are in the attic? He would have thought we were, like, you could have blown everything. Grandma could have double locked us in this fucking, like, our whole cover would have been blown. But that's not the only thing he yells at her about, y'all. He's more pissed that she kissed another man. And he says, you're mine, Kathy. No one else's. And I will make you mine. And he proceeds to, let's be honest, rape her. Moment of silence for everybody to absorb that. Chris fucking snaps. And I'm not sitting here saying like he has an excuse by any means. But this is a 17-year-old locked in an attic with a infatuation with his mother and now his sister. And I'm not sitting here trying to, like, I'm just saying it wasn't like he was just gonna do it naturally. But he does. And Kathy struggles with it in the sense she Doesn't want it, but wants it. She has an inner monologue I wish I could read, but I will not because of YouTube purposes. She doesn't know how to feel. She physically doesn't mind it, emotionally minds it. So I will classify it as rape, because a lot of fans are kind of like, I don't know if it was. I will classify it as rape. And Kathy is terrified that she will get pregnant from this interaction. And Chris says, as every guy does, you can't get pregnant on the first try. I don't know why that's such a rumor. You can. And she's terrified. And her and Chris go sit on the roof in like the freezing cold in silence. And they kind of do that punishment thing of they are freezing on the roof, but they sit there in silence because they're like, oh my God, we fucked up. We just fucked up so bad. And Chris, don't think that he doesn't feel bad. He feels terrible. I'm not trying to make excuses for Chris, but him and Kathy, like, she tells him, it's not your fault. Like, I'm so sorry I did this to you. And he's like, Kathy, I'm a fucking monster. I just raped my sister. We are so fucked up. Like, Chris is like, our mother has ruined our lives. Like, they are very self-aware of what psychologically is happening to them. I'm going to kind of like not blitz through, but it's such a rough series of chapters, these last few ones. We've got like 3 or 4 left. It's pretty rough. Corey gets sick again. He's a very sickly child, and he gets sick again, and they cannot figure out what is wrong. And he's literally dying, and Kathy is begging her mama to take him to the hospital. Like, it says right here, go on, glare your eyes at me and cry and plead and talk to me about money and what it can buy, but it can't buy back a child once he's dead. And if that happens, don't think I won't find a way to get to your husband and tell him you have 4 children you've kept hidden in a locked room with only their playground attic. And you've kept them there for years. See if he loves you then. And y'all, Corin slaps Kathy and says, it's always you. There it is. There's the real Corin. She finally showed her colors. She don't give a fuck about these kids. Kathy is the only thing. If it weren't for Kathy, she could have just locked them up, gave them their little toys, like little hamsters and their little enrichment, and then gone on to do it. She's treating them like animals. And like reading this, I felt really bad for my cats because they're inside. And I was like, am I doing a flowers in the attic situation with these cats? Anyways. Or like dogs too, like, because like I'm at my grandma's house, I have to keep the dogs tethered and they're not able to roam, and I'm just like, oh my God, am I treating y'all like the flowers in the attic kids? I'm sorry. I'm just Corin. I'm just giving y'all toys. It's not enough. Corin finally steps, but the grandma, I don't know what to think about this grandma. We'll talk about the grandma on the Patreon because I don't want to take up too much time, but the grandma's like, Corin, he has to go to the hospital. They're right. He has to go. Like, I can't have a dead child in this room. It's going to stink. We have to take him. And so Kathy begs them to let her go. She says, y'all can put handcuffs on me. I don't care, but he will freak out in a hospital without me, his mom. Like, Kathy's his mom. He doesn't know. He only sees the grandmother as abuse. That's triggering. And they won't let her go. And so Corey's gone. Days pass. And the mom pops her head back in. Corey had pneumonia, she intoned. The doctors did all they could, but it was too late. Had pneumonia. All they could. All past tenses. Corey is dead. We're never going to see him again. It goes on, obviously, about them realizing their brother is dead. Corey is dead. Will we go to his funeral? Chris asked in a choked way with his back still turned. He's already been buried, said Mama. I had a false name put on the tombstone, and then very quickly she escaped the room and our questions, and the grandmother followed, her lips set in a grim, thin line. Right before our eyes, Carrie shriveled more every day. I felt God might as well have taken Carrie too and buried her alongside Corey in that faraway grave with the wrong name that didn't even have the comfort of a father buried nearby. That made me tear up when I read it. That made me tear up. And Chris realizes, because of Corey's illness that led to his death, Chris realizes that they are essentially like War of the Worlds little aliens. Any outside germ could kill them. They've been so, like COVID, locked in this room. Like, imagine reading this during COVID, y'all. Imagine reading this during COVID. They are so locked in that any germ, fucking wipe all 4 of them out. Swipe 1. And so he's like, we got to get out. We got to do anything we can. We have got to get out. But I thought this was really sweet because Corey was very musical. Kathy, in her mourning, gets his guitar and she sings a half-completed song that Corey wrote himself. I wish the night would end. I wish the day begin. I wish it would rain or snow, or the wind would blow, or the grass would grow. I wish I had yesterday. I wish there were games to play. We're almost to the end. Literally, this chapter is called Escape. I am so sorry. I forgot to mention how they snuck out of that room. I'm sitting here talking about they're sneaking out every night. What they did is they stole the key from their mama as she was talking about all the gifts that she was going to give them for Christmas. And they put it in soap. And then Chris carved a wooden key, like out of really strong wood. It took him like 2 weeks to carve it. But he carved a wooden key to use in and out. That's how they got out. Sorry. Because I'm just now seeing like they took the wooden key because there's no more money. Like, there's no more money laying around, so he's going to steal jewelry, and they're going to leave that night. Because if you steal jewelry, people are going to know. And he goes down there, and he comes back up. Pillowcase is empty. And Kathy's, like, packing their suitcases, getting Carrie ready. Why don't you have jewelry? It's all gone. What do you mean it's all gone? There is nothing left in that room. Mama is gone. She left. Everything is gone. The only thing that is left in a drawer is her wedding bands with their daddy and a framed photo of their father. And Kathy has the inner monologue of, I bet she knew we were stealing from her and she left that for us. How sweet. And that's not the only thing, y'all. This is like the last 2 chapters, y'all. Not only is Mama gone, she packed up and left. He goes down to the grandfather's room and he hears the maids talking. The grandfather has been dead for 9 months. Not only did Corey not need to die, I know how he died. The maids and the butler are talking about all them rats in the attic. The grandma is just real hell-bent on poisoning the rats in the attic and been using arsenic, white powder, like on donuts that they all of a sudden started getting despite sugar not being allowed. Those beautiful white donuts that Corey loved. And Chris, being a future doctor, goes through the symptoms of arsenic poisoning, much like pneumonia. And if you take a child to the hospital, it will look like pneumonia. Oh my God, they're trying to kill us. If there was ever a get the fuck out, it's now. They test the arsenic on Mickey the mouse, trigger warning, inevitable is about to happen, but they give Mickey a piece of one of those donuts and he dies. And so they immediately know that, and Carrie's been sick. Carrie's getting sick too. And so they're like, we have to get out of here. And what they do, this is the last chapter, is they take the key and they literally just run out the front door. Like they literally, in the middle of the night, just fucking leave with Carrie. And they get on a train. I think the train conductor thinks that Chris and Kathy are a couple and Carrie's their daughter. I don't know. He kind of like says something, I remember. But they get on a train as they're reeling that they're, Mom. Oh, I forgot about this. I'm so sorry. Before they leave, they hear the maid talking about the will and testament that Corin gets all of her father's money if she never has children. And they put 2 and 2 together that it wasn't the grandma that put the arsenic on the donuts. Their mother did. Mama killed Corey. They don't even think she took him to the hospital. In the later books in the series, it's kind of rumored that he died in another closet. Their mama won't get the money if she has children even after her father's death. If she ever has children, she's disinherited. She's trying to kill him. She's trying to kill her kids in the attic. And so anyways, they're on the goddamn train. We're at the end here. The grandmother is staring at them through a window and she sees that train. And obviously she can't see them, but they're like, I wonder if she knows we're up here. And they get to town and the hustle and bustle of people. And they're honestly shocked because they haven't been fucking outside. And they promise that they're going to take Carrie to Florida, warm and sunny Florida where it's never cold. And we have this last paragraph because they have Mickey and the donuts in a bag that they were going to take to the police. But it's one of those situations where they're like, no one's going to believe us. And Corin's gone. Like, they're going to separate us. They're going to put Carrie in an orphanage. We're better off alone. And so in the nearest green trash can, I dropped the bag, saying goodbye to Mickey and asking him to please forgive us for what we did. Come on, Kathy, called Chris, stretching forth his hand. What's done is done. Say goodbye to the past and hello to the future. We're wasting time when we've already wasted enough. We've got everything ahead, just waiting for us. Just the right words to make me feel real, alive and free. Free enough to forget thoughts of revenge. I laughed and spun about to run back to where I could put my hand in his, stretched ready and waiting. With his free arm, Chris swooped down to pick up Carrie, and he hugged her close and kissed her wan cheek. Did you hear that, Carrie? We're on our way to where the flowers bloom all through the winter. In fact, flowers bloom all year down there. Doesn't that make you want to smile? A tiny smile came and went on pale lips that seemed to have forgotten how to smile. But that was enough for now. The end. Oh my God, y'all. Again, I really recommend, I know y'all are just like, but I really recommend y'all read it. It's a fucked up novel, but it is written beautifully. Like, they are in that attic for 3 or 4 years. And there's so many, like, now that you know that Corinne was fucked up to begin with, and you go reread it, you kind of notice, and then in like the next novels, we'll talk about them on the Patreon, what happens in the next novels. Not a full recap, don't worry, but just briefly. And we're going to go over the family tree, because guess what? There's more incest above Corinne and everything. Like, this whole family, it's amazing that they all came out the way they did, because their family tree is literally just a branch, like just but that being said, I feel like you could talk about in a book club, like you could talk about the religious aspects, because Kathy's talking about God, and then you have the grandmother talking about God. You have money and love, money versus love, what makes the world go round. You have this incestuous family relationship of, like, you look back on how, like, the mom was so obsessed with her idea of success. She was obsessed with, she bought everything on credit. They did not have the money to live like they were living. And because of her needing status and nice things, when her husband passed away, they were knocked on their ass. And then you have this husband that indulged her and was also, like, kind of fucked up. You know, he told his daughter, like, I like long hair on little girls, and you're my first, and just like, ugh. And kisses her on the lips. It's an interesting novel in the sense of, like, it's this picture perfect family with all of this money, but behind closed closet doors, it is the most fucked up shit you will ever read. And again, this was in my middle school library. I don't know. It's a favorite book of mine. We'll talk about the movie on the Patreon, the 1987 movie. There is a 2014 movie, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Don Draper's daughter, Krishna Shipna, or whatever her name is. She plays Kathy. And Heather Graham is Corinne. I might need to watch it. But anyways, we'll discuss the movies and the Lifetime movies on the Patreon. I'll recap the 87 movie because it's kind of so camp. It's a terrible movie. Terrible movie. They do not touch this novel whatsoever. They don't even get near the Kathy and Chris relationship. And, like, there's a totally different ending on the movie. The grandmother's different. I don't know. It's so camp though. Like, the movie's kind of iconic. It is so off kilter. I don't know where to begin on the discussion. I've taken up so much of y'all's time. So again, we'll discuss more in the Patreon. More of this novel and the series and the themes. And like I said, you could talk about money, you could talk about the incest, you could talk about the white. I kind of saw it as like this weird white supremacy thing of like this little Aryan race of like dolls, because they're the Dollengangers, but everybody calls them the dolls. And like, they're just this perfect little white family with all this money, and they're God-fearing. But like I said, behind closed doors, I don't know. Like, I kind of saw it as like this weird Southern Gothic tragedy of like this little perfect white family with all this money. And we all know those are the most fucked up fucking people. And you could talk about, like I said, the kids' dynamics. You could talk about the relationship between Kathy and Chris. And oh my God, where to even begin on that? I don't think I can without YouTube taking this down. I like this novel. I like this novel. I want to read more V.C. Andrews. I have the others. I have Petals in the Wind and There Be Thorns. And I love that my grandma gave me these novels from her collection. And then when I told her I was covering this for the YouTube, she was like, where'd you get those? And I was like, they're yours. She was like, oh, I didn't even know I had those. Yeah, welcome. Happy Halloween, y'all. Hopefully I get this uploaded enough in time and y'all can watch it for Halloween. Happy Halloween. Stay safe. Dress cute. Dress warm. I think it's going to be chilly. I don't know. And like I said, the November book is going to be that cat book that is escaping me. I don't have it on me. I forgot everything, y'all. Like, I'm in between houses. I'm living here. I'm living there. But anyways, we're reading that cat novel, Tail Chaser Song. Is that it for November? Because I didn't have necessarily like a Thanksgiving themed novel. And I thought, this looks cottagecore. Cottagecore is a Thanksgiving holiday aesthetic. So we're doing the cat novel for next month. Stay tuned. It'll be a lot nicer, hopefully. Hopefully it's not like a Watership Down situation. If you know Watership Down with the rabbits. But anyways, my family won't shut the fuck up outside. I'm probably driving them nuts because they're trying to be quiet. I know. So I'm going to go. Please read this novel. Watch the 1987 movie, and we'll cover it next week. But thank y'all so much for giving me patience and a lot of really kind words. If you stayed long enough, y'all are really kind. I really needed it. Everything is fine. I just got knocked on my ass. It happens every 5 years almost. Something happens. But everything is fine. I'm healthy. I'm looking for a new home. I'm really excited for that. New home to decorate. That's always fun. New memories to make. I had an interview for a job yesterday that I'm really hopeful for. It sounds really exciting. I have all my family here and my friends. So I'm seeing more family than I have in 10 years. I was 10 years in Arkansas. So the food's better here. I'm back to good food. It's not ideal, but hey, much like V.C. Andrews wrote, sometimes your dream bubbles just go pop and you got to make the most of it. You got to grow a garden in an attic if you have to, you know? All right. Whoop. I will see y'all all next week. Thank y'all so much. Bye.